Peace, peace, peace. What's going on, everybody? This is MD checking in once again. We got Blackson in the house. What's up, Blackson?
Hey, what up? What up, MD? How's my mic? How's my mic?
Oh man, you good to go.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, this is it, man. This is the one we've been talking about, man. This
No
is
doubt,
the
no
one.
doubt. The Arena Cinema presents Anarchy USA. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Just
sir.
to give backdrop on the movie in itself. Again, like I've been saying since we've been promoting this particular stream. If you didn't get a chance to listen to the audio book by Man and Johnson, Color, Communism, and Common Sense, this is basically a direct tie-in to that particular book. Um, it's going to be interesting to see the correlation between what Manning Johnson was saying versus this particular illustration of that particular thought by G. Edward Griffin. And according to some of the conversations that we had, specifically the conversation that we had yesterday, I'm interested to see what position Black Sun is going to come out of at the end of the movie. And, you know, when it comes to the particulars of the social science behind what's being prescribed in this movie, will he ultimately disagree or agree? As myself, you know what I'm saying? It may be certain positions that I agree with, maybe certain positions that I disagree with. At the end of the day, it's a direct tie-in if you listen to the audiobook to Man and Johnson when it comes to color communism and common sense. So without any further ado, you know what I mean? Let's go ahead and get into the movie. Then we're gonna come back. It's not a short film, but it's short enough to where it'll give us time to do a brief commentary and a review about it on the back end. So for everybody that's going to watch it live with us, or everybody that's going to watch it later, make sure you pay attention to a lot of the innuendos that spit out, the nuances of the actual ideology. Make sure you pay attention.
Yep.
That way you don't get a misconception about what's going on. That's very important. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
So
man.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I was hoping he would be here, man, because I know I want to definitely. Hopefully, he'll make it at least for this. Well, I want him to watch it, but make it for a discussion because, like I said, sometimes you can miss stuff here and there. Um, because he still texts me talking about, man, see the Republicans in Alabama were all conservative, and I'm like, you missed the point. Though. I mean, none of them. Trump had a rally today, and I hate we missed it, but I'm not gonna miss no more. But Trump talked about how the rhinos are against him and how they lockstep with the goddamn blue dog Democrats. So, yeah, man, nuances are very important, man. That detail and everything. So yeah, I'm ready. I got my pen and pad ready, like I said. And hey, you might, like I said, on the whole anarchy thing. I was thinking about it today, and that's why, man, I'm so excited right now because I still like I said, through our conversation yesterday, it gave me a different perspective. And then, like I said, even the Arab Spring itself, even though you know how I'm against the Arab Spring, every Arab Spring I don't consider an anarchy moment, if that makes any
Right,
sense.
right. Well, again, like I said, maybe you'll have a better opinion about everything at the end of this movie, or
Okay.
maybe you may even feel stronger with your original position. Who like we'll see. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
But let's go
okay,
ahead.
good. No, that's what I learned from our conversation is that every situation, and I made the mistake, MD, of painting a broad brush over the Arab Spring. So even that situation wasn't all. It was not a monolithic event. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Well, that goes back into the point. Maybe when you break down certain scenarios, certain situations, it gives you a broader idea of true anarchism. That's why I said you may feel stronger, or you may backtrack and come to a different terminology of anarchism in itself after this movie. Who knows? We'll
Okay.
see. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, I hope it
We'll see.
addresses. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope it addresses my. Like I said, it's a very acute definition that I have, And like I said, we talked about it, but again, uh, and then I even had to go back as far as the French Revolution. You know,
Well, again, different scenarios, different positions. Like I said, when it comes to what constitutes it, you may feel different, or you may further bolster your opinion on what you think it truly is. But we'll see after the movie. With
okay,
that being said, when that being said, like I said, the Arena Uncensored, hit the like button on your way in to enjoy the movie with us. That's the mission for payment. You know what I mean? Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share it. And with that being said, man, the Arena presents Anarchy USA, y'all. We'll catch you on the other side.
Listen, see, we the Negro people down here have gotten completely fed up, and you know what they're gonna do tonight? They don't care. They not gonna fight down here no more. You know where they going? They after the white people. Now they after the white people. They gonna congregate. They gonna caravan out in Inglewood, Playa Del Rey, and everywhere else the white man supposed to stay. They gonna do the white man in tonight, and I'm gonna wait. No.
Anarchy, the breakdown of law and order, a chaotic reign of terror, mob rule and rioting, the collapse of government authority. These phrases ring strange in the ears of Americans, and for good reason. Through the years, America has stood as the world symbol for law and order. Our government is responsive to the will of the people. Our courts and legislatures provide the mechanics for a peaceful redress of grievances. And the policeman on the corner has traditionally been looked upon as a friend, not as the instrument of a tyrant. Anarchy, well, that was something we read about in our newspapers that was always happening in other countries. Perhaps the people in other countries had just reasons to riot against their governments. After all, many of the nations of the world are dictatorships in one form or another. What business was it of ours, anyway? Newsworthy, perhaps, but it could never happen here. Then, in the summer of 1964, widespread rioting and looting suddenly broke out in Harlem, in Rochester, in Newark, in Jersey City, in Philadelphia, Cleveland, and Chicago, all within a few days of each other. It was as though an unseen hand had given the signal. Then, on August 18th, 1965, guns replaced nightsticks in the hands of law enforcement officers as the Watts area of Los Angeles literally burst into a cauldron of insurrection. Thousands of rioters roamed the streets both night and day, smashing and looting, and setting the torch to over 50 square miles of the city. Hidden snipers held police and firefighters at bay as fires raged unabated. At least 35 Americans died in the violence and gunfire. The sheer magnitude of this monstrous madness strained the abilities of the civil authorities, and the California National Guard was sent to Watts with orders to quell the violence with brute force if necessary. The spectacle of American soldiers shooting it out with American civilians was even more shocking than the rioting itself. The nation was stunned and horrified. No smugness now. This time, it wasn't a foreign country. This time, it was Anarchy USA. The degree of communist influence in these riots has been subject of much discussion and controversy. For a solution to this controversy, let's review the events of recent years, both at home and abroad, in light of the communists' own plans for world conquest.
The communists disdain to conceal their views and aims. They openly declare that their ends can only be attained by the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions.
The most powerful enemy can be conquered only by exerting the utmost effort and by thoroughly, carefully, attentively, and skillfully taking advantage of even the smallest rift, of every antagonism of interest among the various groups or types within the various countries.
Divide the people. Split them into quarreling factions, fighting among themselves rather than their common enemy. This is the comrades' first rule for the conquest of any country, for well do they know from long experience that the nation so divided and weakened can be easily conquered from within. For Mao Zedong, finding the point upon which to divide the people of China and create a revolution was comparatively simple. The Chinese for centuries had been principally tillers of the soil, eking a meager livelihood from land they did not always own and for which they paid tribute to landlords who generally had large holdings. Strong backs and legs were requisite to survival for the great masses who provided the power for China's limited and primitive industry and agrarian economy. A new regime promised reforms, but the communists were not interested in reform. They were dedicated to revolution. Because of the dissension and sabotage created by the insurrectionists and the reticence of some of the landlords and merchants to change the established traditions, the reforms were slow in coming. And so the rich and well-to-do were inclined to stay rich and well-to-do, and the lot of the poor fared only slightly better. And a minority of the Chinese peasants accepted the idea so subtly planted and avidly nurtured by the communist leaders. The so-called enemy of the people had been identified. It was the landlord. He was the cause of the misery and injustice. And so the point of division for the Chinese people was established. In Cuba, a land accustomed to crisis in government and the decrees of dictators, Fulgencio Batista headed a regime that was the least tyrannical Cuba had known for several decades. Rising levels of education, culture, industry, and commerce were enabling the people to enjoy the highest standards of living in all Latin and South America. Corruption in government there was, but no more than was to be found in many cities in the United States. Fidel Castro, a young, well-trained communist revolutionary with much experience, seized upon the issue of corruption in government as he undertook the creation of his revolution. It was the government, said Castro. The government was responsible for the problems and oppression felt by the people. It was the dictator and his followers. It was the Batistianos. They were the enemy. In Cuba, as in all countries, there were the poor and the poorly educated who labored in the fields. Castro promised agrarian reform, which focused the discontent of the rural community upon the latifundista. They, too, were the enemy. And so the communists, experts at fomenting discontent, began to split the population into quarreling factions, setting Cuban against Cuban. Algeria is a creation of the French. Before the French came to the land now known as Algeria, it was nothing more than a conglomerate of warring tribes. Their constant fighting among themselves for the best pasture land each spring and the best barley land each autumn kept the native population of the area at about 1,500,000 for 14 centuries. Today, after little more than 100 years of French rule, the population of Algeria stands at about 9 million. Under French dominion, the Algerian nation grew and prospered. The two cultures of Islam and Christianity were working together to create a good life. In the early 1930s, the dissident voice of the communist was heard among the people. At first it whispered, "The Algerian nation is not France, cannot be France, and does not wish to be France. Independence is the natural right of all peoples." As the seeds of disunity began to germinate, the dissident voice was heard more loudly to proclaim, "Islam is my religion. Arabic is my language. Algeria is my fatherland." And so, too, in Algeria, were the issues that were to divide the people clearly defined. It was to be Muslim against Christian, Arab against European, Algeria against France. The enemy was personified as the Colon. With phase one, that of dividing the population, completed, the revolutionists were ready to move into phase two of the communist blueprint for takeover. Create the appearance of popular support. In every country now part of the Red Slave Empire, the actual number of Communist Party members at the time of takeover has been less than 1% of the total population. As Lenin phrased it,
communism must be built with non-communist hands.
By cleverly beguiling thousands of well-intentioned people into unwittingly supporting the revolutionary program, the dedicated 1% can trick the 99% into surrendering their birthright. This they do by hiding the true communist objectives behind appealing slogans and pretended humanitarian goals. As Stalin explained,
the revolutionary accepts reform in order to use it as a cover for his illegal work.
In China, the propaganda mills were active in championing Mao's agrarian reform. The propagandists portrayed in vivid detail the hardships and injustices of the Chinese peasant. The communists popularized the slogan, "Land to the tiller." Mao Zedong exclaimed, "We are not striving for the social and political communism of Russia. Rather, we prefer to think of what we are doing as something Lincoln fought for in the Civil War, the liberation of slaves." In the United States, those books which praised Mao Zedong as non-communist and an agrarian reformer were advocated reading, and some even became book club selections. It was later revealed that many of the pro-communist books and articles were written and reviewed in this country by communists. The American people, unaware of the treachery, were conditioned to accept the enslavement of China's millions. Cubans rallied round the slogan, "Patria o muerte." But perhaps the most widely used slogan was the one later to be used in Haiti and Venezuela, and still later in English in the United States. "Venceremos." We shall overcome. Early in the revolution, Fidel Castro sought to reassure the people of the true nature of the uprising. I have said very clearly that we are not communists. Our revolution is a humanistic one. The press of the world sang praises of Fidel Castro. Many eulogized him as the savior of Cuba. In the United States, Castro was referred to as the Robin Hood of the Sierra Maestra, that he pursued the same policy of taking from the rich and giving to the poor. The nation's press was quick to report, "This is not a communist revolution in any sense of the word, and there are no communists in position of control. The only power worth considering in Cuba is in the hands of Premier Castro, who is not only not communist, but decidedly anti-communist." And so the Cubans and the Americans and the rest of the world were reassured that there was no infidel in Fidel. In Algeria, more land was owned by Muslims than was owned by the Europeans. Yet the propagandists claimed that the poor Muslims were being oppressed by the wealthy European landowners. The call was for Muslim unity. It was oppression, colonial oppression, the Muslims were to fight. It was to be a holy war in God's cause. The insurrectionists declared that Algerians were an oppressed people living under a tyrannical colonial government, and therefore their revolt was a war of liberation. Since all Algerians held full French citizenship, both Muslim and Christian majorities regarded the idea of liberation as ridiculous. Ahmed Ben Bella, leader of the revolutionists, and 4 companions were arrested by the French and confined as political prisoners. Ben Bella later escaped to Cairo, where he and others set about the task of convincing France, the world, and the Algerians that Algeria needed to be liberated. Then started a systematic reign of terror designed to intimidate the Muslims into going along with the liberation movement. This book was published by the French army in an attempt to alert the free peoples of the world as to the true methods employed by the communist-led insurrectionists. The atrocities shown here were perpetrated upon the Muslims by Ben Bella's rebels parading under the banner of the National Liberation Front, or FLN. Men, women, and even children came under this merciless scourge in the name of freedom. We would never have brought these documents to the notice of public opinion had the torturers not chosen to depict themselves as victims, had the criminals not been transmuted into accusers. And that is exactly the way it appeared to the world. The French army was accused of police brutality. The godless revolutionaries were depicted as liberators. The insurrection was described as a popular and spontaneous uprising of the people. So effective was the programming of this big lie that some of the world's leading citizens were led to give aid and comfort to the enemy that plans to conquer the world.
I am today introducing a resolution which I believe outlines the best hopes for peace and settlement in Algeria. It urges in brief that the President and the Secretary of State be strongly encouraged to place the influence of the United States behind efforts either through the North Atlantic Treaty Organization or through the good offices of the Prime Minister of Tunisia and Sultan of Morocco to establish the basis for a settlement of an independent personality of Algeria, interdependent with France and the neighboring nations. I believe this to be of vital importance to us.
This photo was taken October 15, 1962, in Washington, D.C., and carried the following caption: Premier Ahmed Ben Bella of Algeria and President Kennedy stand as Ben Bella receives full military honors shortly after his arrival today for talks with the chief executive. Ben Bella is expected to thank Kennedy for having called for Algerian independence as far back as 1957. After receiving full military honors at the White House, Ben Bella visited fellow revolutionary Fidel Castro before returning to Algeria. In April of 1964, Americans read in their newspaper, "Far more important facts are that Premier Ben Bella, though very much a dictator, is not a communist." 1 month later, in May of 1964, Ben Bella was awarded the Lenin Peace Prize in Moscow. 2 months later, in July 1964, Communist Ben Bella declared, "We solemnly reply here that our socialism stems from Islam. We repeat before world opinion that we are not communists." After the communists have found some issue or point of difference upon which they can divide the people, get them fighting among themselves rather than their common enemy, the next step is to create the appearance of popular support for the communists' war of national liberation. They have been devastatingly successful thus far. Yet in one country after another, there have been alert, informed individuals who saw the signs, recognized the patterns of conquest, and raised their voices to warn the people. Against just such a contingency, the communists developed the third phase of their blueprint for world domination: neutralize the opposition.
We can and must write in a language which sows among the masses hate, revulsion, and scorn toward those who disagree with us.
A Communist Party directive issued in 1943 reads,
Members and front organizations must continually embarrass, discredit, and degrade our critics. When obstructionists become too irritating, label them as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic. Constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind.
In China, the formula worked well. The word landlord became almost an invective. Those who worked for the government were looked upon as grafters. The government under Chiang Kai-shek was reviled as an enemy of the people, a fascist tool of the ruling class. Those who refused to support the agrarian reformers were subject to surprise visits from roving guerrilla bands. The pattern was the same in Cuba. Those who were less than enthusiastic about Castro's reform were effectively branded as Batista followers. The man who spoke up against the revolt was labeled as a counter-revolutionary. Algerians who saw through the fraud and endeavored to warn the nation or their neighbors were vilified as extremists, colonialists, racists, fascists. Torture, death, and the fear of torture and death were also most effective weapons against those who might resist the tyrannical takeover. The number of atrocities committed in the name of freedom upon the Muslim people averaged nearly 20 per day for every day of every month for 7 years. The next step in the communist strategy is the most easily recognized, for it consists of the tactic of getting masses into motion, and thus precipitating mob violence. Master psychologists that they are, the communists know that once the masses are in the streets, it's not too difficult to convert an orderly demonstration into a full-scale riot. They know, too, that when rioting occurs, police and military forces of the government must move to restore law and order, and thus they have the first visible signs of revolution.
Riots, demonstrations, street battles, detachments of a revolutionary army. Such are the stages in the development of the popular uprising.
The official constitution and program of the Communist Party stated in 1921,
The Communist Party will educate and organize the working masses for mass strikes and mass demonstrations. It is through struggles that the working masses are prepared for the final conflict for power. As these strikes grow in number and intensity, they acquire political character through unavoidable collision and open combat with the capitalistic state. Mass action culminates in insurrection and civil war.
In 1964, a communist document taken from the Viet Cong stated,
Get the people out into the streets. Quarrels should be provoked. Youth groups are to be armed with knives and clubs, allegedly to protect themselves in a manufactured tension.
In China, as in all countries, the communist appeal was aimed primarily at students, young, idealistic intellectuals, most of whom came from wealthy families who could afford to send them to school. It was from this group that the young communist recruits came who later provided the leadership and backbone for the armed conflict to follow. In Cuba, leftist-oriented students were the vanguard of the organized street demonstrations. Once the masses were in motion, that tenuous line between demonstration and riot, between nonviolence and violence, was easily obliterated. As law enforcement officers sought to restore order, police brutality became the cry of the insurgents. Algeria was more of the same: rallies, demonstrations, marches, and the inevitable flare of violence. The invariable charges of police brutality were hurled as efforts were made to maintain law and order. When marches and demonstrations turn into riots in any country slated for takeover, the communists are then ready to implement the final stage of their blueprint for conquest. It takes only a handful of armed opportunists, criminals, and savages to create the semblance of revolution.
Only insurrection can guarantee the victory of the revolution. The purpose of insurrection must be not only the complete destruction or removal of all local authorities and the replacement by new, but also the expulsion of the landlords and the seizure of their lands.
Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist forces had long been fighting the communist-inspired insurrectionists of Mao Zedong when the Japanese invaded the mainland of China. With the end of World War II and the defeat of the Japanese, the United States pressured Chiang into forming a coalition government with the communists. Through a coerced truce and enforced arms embargo, the U.S. disarmed more than 30 divisions of Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist troops. On the other hand, the Chinese communists fell heir to all the arms left by the defeated Japanese, and with the help of added armaments from Russia, Mao was soon able to ride in triumph throughout China and give 400 million Chinese agrarian reform, communist style. When it was time for the shooting to begin in Cuba, Fidel Castro received millions of dollars in cash and vast amounts of arms and ammunition from the Soviet Union and communist groups throughout the Western Hemisphere. At the crucial time in Castro's bid for power, the United States State Department declared an arms embargo against Batista's government, refusing to deliver even the arms that had already been paid for and were awaiting shipment. Yet, on the other hand, revolutionary sympathizers were delivering men, arms, and ammunition to Castro daily from the United States. And so the Abraham Lincoln of Cuba and the Robin Hood of the Sierra Maestra rode triumphantly into Havana, was wined and dined in the United States, was hugged before the United Nations, received the Lenin Peace Prize, and finally admitted in a speech given December 2nd, 1961, to all the world,
Soy marxista-leninista y seré marxista-leninista hasta el último día de mi vida.
I am a Marxist-Leninist and will be until the day I die. In Algeria, Ben Bella's rebels were fighting their war of liberation with guns and ammunition sent to them through Tunisia and Morocco by the communist bloc countries. And just as the revolution was coming to a head, a slight change in the overall strategy was instituted. In 1958, France's President Charles de Gaulle came to Algeria, declaring with outstretched arms, "I have understood you. I declare that from this day forward, France considers that in the whole of Algeria, there is only one category of inhabitants, that there are only Frenchmen in the full sense." De Gaulle called for the people to vote on the question of independence for Algeria, and the majority voted to remain French citizens, an integral part of France. De Gaulle said, 3.5 million men and women have cast their votes of confidence. This is a fact that commits France and Algeria to each other for all time. 2 years later, in 1960, the same French president, Charles de Gaulle, was heard to ridicule the Frenchization of the Algerians and to talk of an Algerian Algeria. It didn't take the leaders of the Army of Liberation long to change the talk of an Algerian Algeria into slogans demanding a Muslim Algeria. Ultimately, the revolutionary Ben Bella returned to Algeria and in due course established a regime of which he said, "We solemnly reply here that our socialism stems from Islam. We repeat before world opinion that we are not communists." And so it has been, with but minor variations in one country after another. Divide the people. Create the appearance of popular support. Neutralize the opposition. Precipitate mob violence. Create the semblance of a revolution. An accurate summary of Lenin's strategy for the conquest of the world is as follows.
First, we will take Eastern Europe. Next, the masses of Asia. Then we shall encircle the last bastion of capitalism, the United States of America. We will not have to attack. It will fall like overripe fruit into our hands.
By October of 1950, all of Eastern Europe was securely locked behind the Iron Curtain. By the summer of 1954, the greater part of Asia had fallen to the Kremlin's strategy and tactics. And each year, more nations lose their sovereignty to Marxist intrigues or degenerate into Soviet satellites, as communism hastens to complete the encirclement of the last bastion of capitalism. And what of the United States? How goes the battle in the land of the free and the home of the brave? The communist plan for the conquest of the United States was explained to the American comrades by Moscow's agent, Joseph Pogany. Pogany was sent to this country by Stalin for the specific purpose of laying the groundwork for the agitation that would eventually develop into a Negro revolutionary movement. American Negro Problems was published in 1928 by Joseph Fogani using the alias John Pepper and carried the official communist line for America.
The Workers' Communist Party of America, in its fight against imperialism, must recognize clearly the tremendous revolutionary possibilities of the liberation movement of the Negro people. The Black Belt of the South, with its starving and pauperized Negro farmers and Negro agricultural working masses, with its Jim Crowism, its semi-feudal status, and its political system still bearing the earmarks of the period of slavery, constitutes virtually a colony within the body of the United States of America. The Workers' Communist Party of America puts forward correctly as its central slogan, abolition of the whole system of race discrimination, full racial, social, and political equality for the Negro people. But it is necessary to supplement the struggle for the full racial, social, and political equality of the Negroes with a struggle for their right of national self-determination. Self-determination means the right to establish their own state, to erect their own government if they choose to do so. The Negro communists should emphasize in their propaganda the establishment of a Negro Soviet Republic.
In 1934, the communist writers James W. Ford and James S. Allen further defined the Soviet Negro Republic.
The actual extent of this new republic would in all probability be approximately the present area in which the Negroes constitute the majority of the population. In other words, it would be approximately the present plantation area. It would be certain to include such cities as Richmond and Norfolk, Virginia, Columbia and Charleston, South Carolina, Atlanta, Augusta, Savannah, and Macon, Georgia, Montgomery, Alabama, New Orleans and Shreveport, Louisiana, Little Rock, Arkansas, and Memphis, Tennessee.
These cities and the cities which lie within their spheres of influence became known in communist writings as the Black Belt of the South and were to constitute the nucleus of a future Soviet republic. At the National Convention of the American Communist Party, held in New York City in June of 1940, James Ford, the Communist Party candidate for the vice presidency of the United States, said,
"For the Negro in the South, my people, the Negro people of America, have in the Communist Party their best defender, the unfailing champion of their cause. I accept its nomination for Vice President of the United States."
By this time, the communist champions of the Negro race had hidden the revolutionary ideas and slogans for a Soviet Negro Republic behind the humanitarian banners of jobs, security, civil rights, and peace. These humanistic issues were to provide the friction necessary to divide the American people and lay the groundwork for revolution.
I am Leonard Patterson. When I was a young man, only 23 years old, I joined the Communist Party. I was a member of the National Executive Committee of the American Young Communist League. In 1930, I was the official communist candidate for election to New York State Assembly. I knew Gus Hall and other top-ranking American communists very well because I trained with them at the Lenin University in Moscow. I joined the party because I honestly thought the communists were trying to help American Negroes. I broke away from the party when it became clear to me what the communists were really up to, was to use the Negro people in this country as cannon fodder in a violent and bloody revolution aimed at the establishment of the American Soviet dictatorship. It was that simple, and it is still that simple today. Make no mistake about it. What is happening in the United States right now under the banner of civil rights is exactly what has happened in China, in Cuba, in Algeria, and many other places around the world.
I'm Julia Brown. For 9 years, I was a member of the Communist Party, serving as an undercover agent for the FBI. During that time, I learned that the communist conspiracy had been planning and working for years to bring violent revolution to America. It was to be a communist revolution, but the great majority of the American people would not be allowed to realize that until it had already happened. If all goes according to the communist blueprint, Americans will believe that the chaos and violence has something to do with civil rights. Our enemies were quick to find our weakest point for their attack. They knew that racial differences could provide them with an excellent wedge to divide our people. Their strategy simply has been to keep hammering on that wedge, to drive it deeper into our social structure, to open all wounds that have long since healed, and deliberately to create new ones wherever they can.
Now, he acted like a good nigga for the white folks. But I tell you, I don't want to even be around no more good niggas. I'm with them good Negroes. That's what they call Rodriguez, a good Negro. I want to be with the bad niggas because I know what's happening with the bad niggas. That's where I want to be. I want to be with the niggas. I want to be with the bad niggas that don't want to ride on the back of the bus no more. And this is what I know Davis will call you. And the bad niggas is not going to work for $18 or $20. No, I want to be for the bad niggas who going to register and vote. I want to be for the bad niggas going to swim on any God's beach where water is flowing. I want to be for
Lyndon Johnson is the biggest nigger lover in the United States. He may think that he can use his Justice Department with Bobby Kennedy at the head of it, and he may think that he can use J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI and the Army to force us white people here in St. Augustine and other parts of the nation to mix up with niggers. But if he sends troops in here and puts a bayonet behind every one of us, we still will not mix up with a bunch of black savages.
I'd like to say, in a real sense, not fellow freedom fighters, but fellow slaves. For we all are slaves, not only in this society, not only in this community, but all over this nation and all over the world. What you're doing here is very significant and it's very important.
Then you follow up your friends and acquaintances and ask them if they want to help put this fight over to save this country from the onslaught of integration. You know, the system is they want to throw white children and colored children into the melting pot of integration, out of which will come a conglomerated, mulatto, mongrel class of people. Both races will be destroyed in such a movement. I, for one, under God, will die before I'll yield 1 inch to that kind of a movement. What about it?
The black man got a champion. They call him Martin Luther King. We call him Roosevelt. This God has some champions of the white man, and you can name Connie Lynch as one of them.
the seeds of dissension were sown among both the black and the white races. And inexorably, the people of the United States were being divided according to plan. Among the so-called downtrodden and oppressed, among the supposedly starving and pauperized Negroes, the enemy was referred to as Whitey, Mr. Charlie, the Man, and the Ophé. Phase 1 was well on its way. Now it was time to implement Phase 2. Create the appearance of popular support. Beguile the people of the United States and the world into believing the pious fraud that the civil rights uprising, led by a handful of agitators, was a popular movement of the whole Negro race in the United States.
Now, this doesn't mean that there isn't a legitimate need for the advancement of civil rights for many of our Negro citizens. Of course, there is a need there. Otherwise, communist agitators posing as civil rights leaders could never hope to enlist massive support for their schemes. The aspirations of Negroes for full equality were not created by communists, but they are used by communists in such a way that idealistic Americans of all races can be tricked into implementing the communist blueprint for revolution. Having been on the inside of the Communist Party, it's easy for me to recognize this revolutionary agitation in disguise. But the average American finds it's hard to believe that something as worthy and noble sounding as a civil rights movement could possibly be a communist maneuver.
Communism must be built with non-communist hands.
The revolutionary accepts reform in order to use it as a cover for his illegal work.
By concealing the true communist objectives behind appealing slogans and pretended humanitarian goals, the conspirators are able to dupe hundreds of uninformed opportunists and misguided idealists into supplying the non-communist hands needed in the overthrow of this republic. Thoroughly deceived, some of the Negroes cry for liberation through the slogan, "Freedom Now." The Democratic slogan, "One man, one vote," has gained wide acceptance. But perhaps the most popular slogan is "Venceremos," the rallying cry of the deluded peasants of Cuba, Haiti, and Venezuela. Venceremos, we shall overcome, is now the rallying cry of the deluded peoples of the United States.
When I was studying communist tactics and strategy in Moscow, my instructors emphasized the importance of using honest grievances and popular slogans as a smokescreen to cover up the true nature of the revolution. We were taught how to use propaganda and arouse the emotion of the masses. We learned how to set one group against the other and to make them hate each other. We learned the necessity of having martyrs, and we were even told how to create our own martyrs if they did not matter result from the atmosphere of hatred. We were taught the importance of getting large masses of people into the street for marches and demonstrations. And finally, we were instructed in ways to take off riots and make them spread and to keep them going. When I returned to the United States, I was immediately given practical training. I participated in so-called nonviolent demonstrations that were deliberately calculated to irritate white people into violence against us. I personally was in charge of organizing a march on Washington to dramatize the Scottsboro Boys case. In New York, about 1935, a Negro boy was reported killed by the owner of a store while in the act of stealing some merchandise. Communist Party headquarters decided to make a march out of the boy. So we went right to work, putting out handbills and holding open air meetings. In less than a half hour after we started, there was a race riot on 125th Street, complete with smashing windows of white storekeepers, looting, and all the rest. I'm not speaking of things I read about. These are things I personally participated in.
As it was in Cuba, so it was in Algeria. And so it is in the United States. In Jackson, Mississippi, Medgar Evers, State Field Secretary for the NAACP, was shot in the back by an unknown assassin as he was entering his home. After lying in state in Mississippi, the body of World War II infantry GI Medgar Evers was sent to Washington, D.C. for burial in Arlington National Cemetery. Now a victim of the very communist agitation he had helped promote, Medgar Evers was able to further serve communist purposes by being glorified as a martyr in the supposed fight of the Negro people for freedom and justice. Medgar Evers' remains were buried with full military honors and nationwide news coverage. As it was in Cuba, so it was in Algeria. And so it is in the United States. Mysterious bombings by assailants unknown plague the lives and property of the Negro people and serve to intimidate those who might speak out against the conspirators. The bombing of this Birmingham, Alabama church claimed the lives of 4 little girls attending Sunday school. A memorial service was held in Washington, D.C. for the 4 young victims, after which the mourners demonstrated their grief before the White House and the press.
We were taught how to use propaganda, how to arouse the emotion of the masses. We learned how to set one group against the other and to make them hate each other. We learned to be successful at having martyrs, and were even told how to create our own martyrs if they didn't automatically result from the atmosphere of hatred.
Divide the people, then create the appearance of popular support. And if any of the alert, informed citizens call attention to the true revolutionary goals behind the humanitarian slogans, move into phase 3 and neutralize the opposition. One effective way to neutralize any opposition is to liquidate it. In the summer of 1965, a respected Negro farmer in Alabama dared to speak out critically against the civil rights revolutionaries. In this cabin in late August, 87-year-old Perry Smaw struggled with an assailant who said he had come to get Perry's tongue. The aged Negro's skull was crushed with a cast-iron frying pan, the attacker striking with such force that the skillet was broken. Then the intruder pulled Perry's tongue from his mouth and with a butcher knife cut it off all the way back to the old man's tonsils. Perry Smaw, the man who dared defy the conspirators, died 6 days later. In China, Cuba, and Algeria, terror was also a most effective weapon in intimidating and neutralizing the opposition. And there's another, even more widely used method of neutralizing and paralyzing opposition to communism's conquests.
We can and must write in a language which sows among the masses hate, revulsion, and scorn toward those who disagree with us.
Members and front organizations must continually embarrass, discredit, and degrade our critics. When obstructionists become too irritating, label them as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic. Constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind.
By duping the American public into turning a deaf ear to the voices of warning because the topics were controversial or because the patriots themselves had been ridiculed as extremists, racists, fright peddlers, the conspirators were ready to move one step closer to their hidden goals by precipitating mob violence.
Riots, demonstrations, street battles, detachments of a revolutionary army. Such are the stages in the development of the popular uprising.
The Communist Party will educate and organize the working masses for mass strikes and mass demonstrations. It is through struggles that the working masses are prepared for the final conflict for power. As these strikes grow in number and intensity, they acquire political character through unavoidable collision and open combat with the capitalistic state. Mass action culminates in insurrection and civil war.
You've been studying history, studying civics, but right now you got to put your history and your civics in the streets. You got to make the Constitution real. You got to make democracy real. Since 1960, since February the 1st, 1960, more than 50,000 of your fellow students have been arrested and jailed, beaten, faced police doors and water hoses. Before we see real freedom, before we be able to walk down these streets with a sense of dignity and with a sense of pride, and walk in freedom, no doubt there will be more jailings, more beating, more water hoses, more drugs.
The other thing is this: we are determined that this city will not celebrate its quadricentennial as a segregated city. If that celebration... We plan to use everything within our power and all of the nonviolent weapons at our disposal to dramatize this blatant injustice and to demand that the federal government not put a cent in this city unless it decides to face the realities of desegregation.
Right time, when Martin Luther King said march, we're going to have our marching shoes. And you know they've kicked us around a long time, haven't they? And so many of us we've come up in life without any shoes at all. And if it becomes necessary for us to march without shoes, we'll march barefooted. I don't like the way you're clapping tonight. Are you ready to march? Are you ready to march?
are not afraid of dogs. Are we, children? So many of us, we were raised up with dogs. And we have had to live the life of dogs right here in the United States of America. I want you to raise your hand high tonight. Everybody that's ready to march, raise your hand high. Raise it high. Are you ready to march? Are you ready to march? If you're ready to march, I want you to raise both of your hands above your head. I want you to stand up on your feet. Keep your hands high. Now bring them together and clap them together. Everybody wants freedom. Everybody wants freedom. Everybody.
And so, many were tricked into helping create the appearance of popular support for a conspiracy that hid its true objectives behind appealing slogans and humanitarian goals. A detachment of the deceived staged sit-ins. A handful of the hoaxed made freedom rides. A portion picketed and protested, while still others boycotted buses. And then more of the deluded mobs marched and demonstrated. As it was in Cuba, where the leaders of the humanistic revolution marched with arms locked in camaraderie, so it is in the United States, where the leaders of the freedom movement march with arms locked in brotherhood. As it was in Cuba, where the comrades marched arm in arm to shouts of Venceremos, so it is in the United States, where the brothers march to the strains of We Shall Overcome.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday.
In 1965, Martin Luther King explained the purposes of the marches and demonstrations as follows. The goal of the demonstrations in Selma, as elsewhere, is to dramatize the existence of injustice and to bring about the presence of justice by methods of nonviolence. Long years of experience indicate to us that Negroes can achieve this goal when four things occur. First, nonviolent demonstrations go into the streets to exercise their constitutional rights. Second, racists resist by unleashing violence against them. Third, Americans of conscience, in the name of decency, demand federal intervention and legislation. Fourth, the administration, under mass pressure, initiates measures of immediate intervention and remedial legislation.
Ready to march with them. I didn't hear from everybody. Are you ready to march?
As Martin Luther King said, demonstrators staged a huge march on Washington, D.C. to dramatize their demands. They staged demonstrations across the country. And as Martin Luther King said, violence was unleashed. Then, accordingly, the federal government intervened and a vicious legislative step on the road to tyranny was enacted in the form of the Civil Rights Bill of 1964.
Their cause must be our cause, too. Because it's not just Negroes, but really it's all of us who must overcome the crippling legacy of bigotry and injustice. And we shall overcome.
you ready to march with us?
As Martin Luther King said, the demonstrators staged a huge march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, to dramatize their demands. They staged demonstrations across the country. And as Martin Luther King had said, violence was unleashed against them. Then, accordingly, the federal government intervened, and still another vicious legislative step toward tyranny was enacted in the form of the Voting Rights Bill of 1965.
And these enemies, too, poverty, disease, and ignorance, we shall overcome.
I broke away from the party when it became clear to me what the communists were really up to was to use the Negro people of this country as cannon fodder in a violent and bloody revolution aimed at the establishment of an American Soviet dictatorship.
Give me that old freedom spirit. Give me that old freedom spirit. It's good enough for me.
It was to be a communist revolution, but the great majority of the American people would not be allowed to realize that until it had already happened. If all goes according to the communist blueprint, Americans will believe that the chaos and violence has something to do with civil rights.
Make no mistake about it. What is happening in the United States right now under the banner of civil rights is exactly what has happened in China, in Cuba, in Algeria, and in many other places around the world.
The goal of the international communist conspiracy is world domination. They have thus far been highly successful in accomplishing the step-by-step objectives necessary for reaching that goal. In the United States, the communist plans call for two revolutions at once. A revolution of a supposedly oppressed proletariat or working class against a capitalistic system that is supposed to breed wage slavery, unemployment, poverty, crises, and war. The second revolution is a revolt of the supposedly poor and oppressed Negroes of the Black Belt against the supposed lynching, segregation, social ostracism, and exploitation of the white man. Currently, what the communists call their Negro Revolutionary Movement, now masquerading behind the humanitarian banners of civil rights, is contributing tremendous momentum to the communist plans to take over the United States. Divide the people. Get them fighting among themselves rather than their common enemy. Create the appearance of popular support through a favorable press and the use of terror, intimidation, and the creation of martyrs. Make the world believe the revolution is a popular one, particularly among those being liberated. Neutralize the opposition. When obstructionists to the cause become too irritating, label them as fascist, Nazi, anti-Semitic, extremist, racist, controversial. Precipitate mob violence. Get the mobs into the streets. March and demonstrate. As the demonstrations grow in number and intensity, they will acquire political character through the desired collision and open combat with the forces of law and order. Since mass action culminates in insurrection and civil war, what of the fifth principle of the communist strategy? Create the semblance of revolution.
Had not this rotten, fascist, racist cop, lieutenant, that killed a young cowboy, had he not killed the boy very well might have died in South Vietnam in the name of freedom. Could have very well have died in South Vietnam in the name of freedom. In the name of freedom. I was also asked to tell you not to get your passion so high, not to get too worked up. However, I think many of us are going to have to choose where we're going to die at. Where we're going to die at. We're going to have to decide whether we're going to die on the streets of the United States or in South Vietnam. I would choose the United States myself. I would choose the United States myself.
From Havana, Cuba, free territory of the Americas, Radio Free Dixie invites you to listen to the free voice of the South. Stay with us for music, news, and commentary by Robert F. Williams.
Robert F. Williams, a fugitive wanted by the state of North Carolina and the Justice Department, broadcasts weekly revolutionary messages beamed into the United States from Cuba.
We shall take the torch of freedom and justice into the streets of America, and we shall set the last great stronghold of Yankee imperialism ablaze with our battle cry of freedom. Freedom now or death. For our people.
In the monthly newsletter published in Cuba and sent into the United States through Canada, the revolutionist Williams tells the Negroes of this nation, we must be willing to suffer jail. We must be willing to suffer death. We must be willing to kill for freedom.
There are Gestapo policemen on every street corner. It's just like Mississippi, and I predict things are going to grow worse. In fact, I think policemen are going to be dead before this situation is over.
During the summers of 1964 and 1965, the demonstrations became riots, finally culminating in the worst race riot in this nation's history in the Watts district of Los Angeles. Across the United States, law enforcement officers were dead, and Negroes did die in the streets, and the situation was far from over. 7 days after the rioting broke out in Watts, a new newspaper started publication, the voice of all the oppressed and exploited. Calling for the workers of the world to unite, this new voice of the people declared that
all the people of the U.S. who oppose U.S. imperialism wish to thank the Communist Party of China and the Chinese people for their pledge of support for the people of Los Angeles in their struggle against U.S. imperialism.
In keeping with communist principles and expectations, the atmosphere of hatred generated in the Watts riot resulted in 32 martyrs for the cause of liberation.
In their memory, we pledge to destroy U.S. imperialism.
In 1928, and again in 1934, and still again in 1965, we hear,
the Negro people constitute a nation in the black belt of the South.
And lest there should be any misunderstanding, Nobel Peace Prize winner Martin Luther King followed the example of Lenin Peace Prize winner Fidel Castro and Lenin Peace Prize winner Ben Bella, and protested that, I am sick and tired of people saying this movement has been infiltrated by communists and communist sympathizers. There are as many communists in this freedom movement as there are Eskimos in Florida. In the past hour, we have offered only a brief survey of the material that's available to support the charge that the civil rights movement, as we know it today, is simply part of a worldwide movement organized and directed by communists to enslave all mankind. There are hundreds of additional witnesses and thousands of additional facts to testify to the communist involvement in the American civil rights movement. But the limitations of time prevent their inclusion here. We urge you to continue your studies of these unpleasant truths and gain a more complete understanding of the conspirators' plans to subjugate the United States. Begin by reading It's Very Simple, The True Story of Civil Rights by Alan Stang, The Civil Rights Packet, and the other books and pamphlets on civil rights that are available from one of the American opinion libraries across the nation. We also urge you to resolve first that you will not fall victim to the communist plot to set race against race, American against American. And second, that you will now join with other patriots in a positive program and concerted action to save for our children and their children this once glorious country and humane civilization which we ourselves inherited.
Well, I can't hear you, Black Son.
Uh-oh, I was muted out. How's that?
Okay, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was muted out. I didn't even hit the switch, man. But hey, man, where's he at, man? Where you at? Oh, calling me a red hat. Calling me a mega wear hat. Yeah, we recognize these commies, God damn it. We got clean America of these commies. Y'all don't like figure it out. Y'all don't like Trump because he be talking about communism. How to spot a commie out. Hey, great documentary. Shit.
Where you want to start at, man? Where you want to start at?
Oh man, so many jewels, man. I want to start at where you want to start at, MD. Where you want to start at? I'm gonna follow your lead tonight because I don't know where to start, man. I got my notes and I'm just like, shit. It's all I try to prioritize all these different points, but okay, you know what? I know where to start. The lingo, the whole divide and conquer. Let's start there.
Well, that was the first. That was the first step. So why not start there?
Yeah, let's start there. Yeah, let's just do it in order, man. Let's start there, man. Let's start.
So right. So we're talking about dividing the people, right?
Yes.
And this documentary in no way, shape, or form was there to try to sidestep or take away the notion of racism. Nobody ever tried to do that. We understand that there's bigotry, prejudice, racism, low-level collective ideology in the country.
Right.
Everybody knows that. But the enticement of said low-level collective ideology is where, from the perspective of the documentary, that's where it starts.
And immediately I recognize all the lingo. The lingos is still prevalent today, MD. I'm like, oh man, because we know somebody with that type of lingo. We know several people with that type of lingo.
Right. So we're dealing with the low level collective thought, and fighting it with low-level collective thought.
Right.
And all you're doing is pretty much adding more air into the balloon until it pops. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're enticing another group with the same low-level collective thought as the group that went with you with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All the while not taking any constitutional legal measures in order to alleviate the problem.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So if we tied into the civil rights movement, you know, as far as a lot of the things, and like I said, there are points that I agree with this particular document. There are also points that I disagree with this particular documentary. What a lot of people did in the civil rights movement was not a area of worrying about your own civil liberties and freedoms as a people, but you equated it to a systematic collective ideology that's not allowing you to practice your own civil liberties and freedoms in the country. And all that did was piss off the original people that you said that's oppressing you in the first place. That's all it did.
Okay.
They showed that beautifully in the movie. One after the I think that was Ralph David. It was either Ralph David Abernathy.
Yeah,
it was somebody that was
Abernathy. That was Abernathy. Yeah, that was Abernathy.
And then immediately after that, they showed the cracker at the Klan rally or whatever the fuck.
That's right.
Addressing that ideological thought with no type of political influence involved in it.
Right.
All it was low level versus low level. That's all it was. Divide the people.
Yep. Same concept, just from two different people, but same concept.
Same concept.
Damn.
But go ahead.
Yeah, and not, you know, like I said, you know, a lot of that lingo is still being used today. Now it might be like it's just like when me and you, we talked about pull yourself up by the bootstrap, and I tell you in the '90s, it evolved. It changed its form into get a job. Tommy, man, get a job. You know what I'm saying? So the lingo, actually, some of this lingo still relevant today. You dig? And so the patterns are easy to recognize, man. And now I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, man, we got commies amongst us for real, you know. But I mean, they're not. It's like the commies aren't even trying to hide it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, from Huey P. Newtons that came with the Red Book from Mao to Robert F. Williams, who fled to communist China during the time he was a fugitive, to I don't know, you got, let's see, and then Fidel, you got and then there's Dembele guy who I was like, damn, they kept mentioning this dude. You know, he's like, oh no, but we're not communists, but we're Muslims. But you notice how Islam, and it's like I notice how they kind of intersect each other all around the world, you know. So yeah, I peeped that, and it is kind of proves my case, because I've always wanted to prove the two coexist with each other. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this right here is a damn gem, MD.
That, you know, all that's cool, but let's keep it in the realm on the first step, though. We're talking about dividing the people.
Okay.
So you can put a direct correlation between the civil rights movement in America and what they showed in Algeria with the French. That's a direct correlation. Obviously, the level of extremism was far greater in Algeria than it ever was here.
Right.
Obviously, you know what I'm saying? Some of the shit they showed, I was like, damn. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
But in the realm of keeping it with dividing the people, they talked about Algeria. Algeria felt a certain discrimination amongst French colonized Algeria, yet the French never denied their citizenship, even to the point where they gave the Algerian people dual citizenship. They gave them full French citizenship. They could actually go to France with no French validation anywhere on their paperwork or anything. They gave them full French citizenship.
Okay.
Where were their rights being denied in the sense of discrimination in terms of the Algerians? Why were the Algerians, for the most part, fighting along the lines of racial? I ain't even gonna say racial lines, cultural lines.
Right.
You know, I didn't see a distinct disaggregation between the two.
Right.
But through the communist onset, they made it out of basing on the lines of the people, the nationality. Algeria for the Algerians and Algeria for the Muslims. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even though that's an oxymoron in and of itself, because Algeria wasn't originally Muslim.
Right, but peep the rhetoric. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they made it nationalistic to that sense. When you come to the civil rights movement, the civil rights movement was for equality, but through the eyes of the communists, it was for the overtaking of a certain system and making it nationalistic using the cannon fodder of black people in the South.
Right.
You know, how you gonna separate? When we talking about America, how you gonna separate the communistic view versus capitalism or imperialism in their eyes?
Right.
And then, but you Negroes, we gonna give y'all own separate special communism. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't think a lot of people peeped that.
I did.
You know what I'm saying?
Carl Dix, that was the name of the person that I met. Carl Dix. Carl Dix is the number 2 man in the Revolutionary Communist Party. Me, Carl Dix, Yanga, and it was I forgot the young woman's name, but yeah, we all sat down and we had a chit chat. But yeah, Carl Dix. I don't know if you heard of Carl Dix.
No,
Revolutionary Communist Party. Okay, go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead.
No, it just made me think about, how Carl Dix is like the number 2 man here in the U.S. of the U.S. Communist, and he always try to interwoven. He always used the interwoven of the civil rights with the Communist Party. It's always interwoven, so it just kind of made me reflect and think about how he'll talk about it, then he'll come back to the Communist Party. He'll talk about Martin Luther King, and he'll interwove and mix the two, man. It's a technique that's like, wow. Now looking at this, I'm like, wow, man. I'm really peeping how they interwoven the shit.
All right, cool. So yeah, let's go into the next one then. So the next one was create appearance and popular support. So what do you get out of that, or how do you correlate what was said in this as far as creating the appearance of popular support?
Again, using, I guess, keywords to rile up. Like I said, there's always keywords that will, and you've experienced this firsthand, MD. We're not gonna mention no names, but there are trigger words like to rile up, like you said, a mob. Case in point, and tell me if you disagree with this. The white man's a devil. You think that won't rile up a crowd of black people who were, I guess, at a Black Power rally?
But here's the thing though. I don't look at this point as far as that. We talk about creating the appearance of popular support, meaning the populace of the people. It don't matter if you're black or white.
Okay, well,
basically what you're doing is you're allowing sympathy to seep in to the cause. That don't have to be from another black person. Just like the movie,
I was just using a strategy, but I mean, break it down more because I'm assuming what you're talking about. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was saying what you just put into summation is actually dealing with another point. But to any event, when we're talking about creating popular support, we're talking about creating or allowing sympathy to seep into the struggle or the revolutionary act. So, for instance, in a movie, you can deal with this as far as like how they certain instances of racism or low level collective thought, whereas they like killed the black person, and instead of dealing with the issue from the basis of why it happened through low level collective thought or racism, and dealing with it amongst the people that it was a direct threat to, they took it to Washington and made it a national scene to instill popular sympathy amongst everybody. So even like Medgar Evers televised it, not and downplaying the original causation of the issue and making it something of a political theater. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I think the film was trying to exemplify. So you're dealing with situations where there's no type of there's no type of individual causality dealing with the issue of racism in and of itself amongst black people. You know what I'm saying? Building a case around it through the media, through national ordinances, in order to gain sympathy amongst the totality of the people. You know what I'm saying? So and this is where I fight. Like I'm kind of like, I get it in a way, but what other means were they given? Also, if you looked at the end of the movie, when he was saying, "Hey, look, do more research on it," blah blah blah. A lot of the clips that he showed, he was actually showing some checks and ledgers that were going directly to the civil rights. We'll just say leaders for the all intents and purposes, leaders for these type of things coming directly from the American Communist Party. That now that's just tinfoil hat. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
But hey, he did say, hey, do your own research. So that's what I get out of that particular point. Who was paying? Who was doing the logistics on sending Medgar Evers from Jackson, Mississippi to Washington, D.C.? Not only that, who instituted or who authorized Medgar Evers being buried in Arlington National Cemetery? Would that have happened if it was just regular, okay, keep it amongst black folks, it's a black folks issue? Would that have happened? I don't think so.
No.
You see what I'm saying? So I think that's what they were trying to give example to as far as creating the appearance of popular support, if that makes sense. Basically getting the white communists more involved, or giving the appearance of people sympathizing with the communist cause over the actual black cause. You know what I'm saying? If you can get the gist.
So you're saying, I'm trying to follow you. So you're saying the Medgar Evers situation, by bringing him to the Arlington Cemetery in Washington, that promoted the Revolutionary Communist Party cause?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to break that down a little bit more. MD, I'm a little lost on that.
Yeah. We're talking about promoting popular support.
Right.
The Medgar Evers case was based on some white supremacists or whoever shooting him.
Right.
Basically assassinated him in Mississippi.
Right.
Remember what Medgar Evers was dealing with. Medgar Evers was part of the NAACP. He was pushing the original, going back to the original step. He was promoting integrationism as tuned to that being the source of inequality. that's dividing the people.
Now, go ahead. Okay, now, and I don't know if this kind of relates to the whole check. Now, the check, I remember Malcolm X talking about how James Farmer and Martin Luther King and all of them are getting paid by Lyndon B. Johnson. Now, in Lyndon B. Johnson, he did say, "We shall overcome," which so happens to be the song in the civil rights movement. So, wasn't that check sent by, or is that just tinfoil hat by Malcolm X?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tinfoil hat, but that's not to say it ain't true. You know what I'm saying? That's just seeing dots and attempting to connect them, just like I did. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you so again at the end of the movie they were showing different just different slides, and one of the slides was direct to Martin Luther King's organization. It was a check ledger,
right?
And it came directly from the American Communist Party. That's just me putting my tinfoil hat on.
Oh, okay. That's where I got lost. I'm like, huh? Okay, because like I said,
but then after that, I asked who was funding these national expositions to these local cases. Like I said, Medgar Evers.
Again, according to Malcolm X, and this might be Malcolm X wearing a tinfoil hat. He said it was Lyndon B. Johnson doing that.
Well, I mean, it could have been, but in turn, that could have been Lyndon B. Johnson advocating certain ideas or getting backhand money and through, I guess you could say, the auspices of the American Communist Party.
Because
like I said, I ain't saying that's true or not. I'm just
but what this documentary did not show, MD, was the meeting between Lyndon B. Johnson and the civil rights leaders. They never showed that part in this documentary, which I'm a little disappointed in, because that is a fact that they would meet Lyndon B. Johnson. And according to Malcolm X, he connected dots and said, well, that's where they getting their money from. Like, there ain't no meeting like that, and there's money being changing hands. So that's Malcolm X putting the dots together. But in this documentary, they did not show, which is very significant, James Farmer, Martin Luther King, Abernathy, all of them, and I think it's The Ballad of the Bullet by Malcolm X. He talks about how there were several meetings with Lyndon B. Johnson, how the whole civil rights leaders were all doing this for a paycheck. So again, one might argue, say, well, that's Malcolm X putting on a tinfoil hat, or Malcolm X putting on the connecting the dots. But I would like to have seen them bring this up in the documentary, but I guess it doesn't fit the narrative of, like I said, you know what? I'm a little,
because the narrative at the end of the day is communism.
I got that, but I'm a little disappointed because, again, I know, like I said, when you're dealing with American history, I like to put it all together. So any documentary dealing with that time period and don't have Malcolm X in it, it's a big.
I agree. That's why I said it's some stuff I agree with, it's some stuff I disagree with.
Right. And I know I get the gist of the documentary, but I'm saying stop leaving out Malcolm X. That's for anybody.
Right.
Stop leaving out Malcolm X because he plays a very key role. Because remember, he said he was going to interject. Yanga, get on here, man. Get on here. Malcolm X said, yeah, the Big Six, man. And you Yanga know where I'm going with this. So Malcolm plays a very big piece in American history. And for anybody leave out Malcolm X, I got to raise an eyebrow. So for that, I got to raise an eyebrow because Malcolm X brought up. Huh?
As do I. Like you basically saying what my whole summation of the movie is. I agree with you.
Right. And like I said, now if I never listened to Malcolm X or studied Malcolm X and just watched this, I'll be like, okay, well, maybe it was a revolutionary communist party, supporting the civil rights leaders. But like, again, Malcolm X, like I said, throughout a lot of history, he's a big piece of the puzzle in a lot of this stuff, man. A lot of this stuff, even with the Communist Party. You know what I'm saying? So again, man, I'm just
okay. Oh, cool. So with that being said, let's go back to this point. We're talking about creating the appearance of popular support. do you think that was via the Communist Party, or was it via the American government in totality? Or is the American government and the Communist Party in cahoots? Based off what you just said, what would be your assumption?
Okay, so okay. Let's back this up. Let's take it step by step. Let's comb through it. So that check was written by the Revolutionary Communist Party, correct?
Well, according to what they showed.
Okay, so then that means Malcolm X's assumption was wrong then, if that's the case. But again, he made some very good points. So again, they should have played that part with Malcolm X saying. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I get they're trying to shoot a certain narrative, but man,
well, why couldn't it be both?
What do you mean?
Why you
you talking about getting a paycheck from the Communist Party?
Yeah. Why couldn't it have been both?
It could be, yeah. Like, and I thought about that too, right? When I saw them write the check, I was like, oh, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? It could be both. Because like I said, this makes sense. And what Malcolm X said makes sense. They both make sense. They could, the civil rights, the big six could have getting paychecks from both sides. They kind of got checks from both sides. So, I mean,
there you go. Like I said, I agree with you 100%. With the fact that it seemed like Malcolm X, not even just Malcolm X. It seemed like a lot of shit was omitted out of this documentary. I didn't see no Malcolm X. I didn't see no SNCC. Right, I didn't see none of that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Right. What Jay played, they all played a big role in this, man. Yeah. They all played a big role. That's
so that part I totally agree with. I'm just dealing with it when it comes to what they were trying to portray within the documentary, which was they were pushing a narrative of anti-communism. That's what they were pushing.
No, now, I clearly see that. Yeah, Yanga, you can jump in anytime. I see where they were going with it, but like I said, if you're not well studied in Malcolm X, you're gonna miss that big piece because Malcolm X said no, they were getting a check from Lyndon B. Johnson. That's why I was like, oh shit, wait a minute. But but you just made a good argument. Maybe the big six got checks from both Lyndon B. Johnson and the Revolutionary Communist Party. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And like I said, that's just me going off of what the information that they provided in the documentary. I agree with you, Black Son. A lot of shit was not talked about in the document. I don't see how you can leave SNCC out and you trying to talk about pushing a communist, anti-communist, you know what I'm saying, rhetoric.
And let me ask you this: not only leave Malcolm X out, how could they leave out Elijah Muhammad out in this documentary?
There you go.
I'm like, wait a minute, hold up, because a lot of money exchanged hands between. I mean, there was meetings between Martin Luther King and Elijah Muhammad. There were a lot of meetings between Elijah Muhammad and goddamn what was that damn Ku Klux Klan leader, man? I forgot his goddamn name. But there was a lot of meetings between the Klan and shit. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of in Communist Party. So there was a lot of intermingling with a lot of people, with government, with goddamn the Klan, with the goddamn Nation of Islam, with the Revolutionary Communist Party, with the civil rights. There's a lot of hands involved in that shit. So to cut certain people out, it doesn't give you the broader picture. And like I said, me coming along watching this, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I agree, bro. I agree.
Malcolm X was talking about a lot of this. So, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, come on now, what are y'all doing? And then it's like they didn't know who Malcolm X was.
Yeah. It's like he blatantly omitted the shit. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, what are y'all doing?
Right. I don't know why. Man, as a matter of fact, hell, it was a possibility that you could have used Malcolm X in defense of what you were trying to push.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Right. Well, at least, look, if you don't let people put the dots together, it would actually might help their case even better. It could go either way or. Basically, when you put Malcolm X in there, you will reinforce that, oh yeah, the big six got a check. They were getting a check. So maybe were getting a check from here, check from there, and a check from there too. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, even I don't know about the rest of the big six, but MLK had met with damn Elijah. Elijah Muhammad could have wrote a damn check. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Hey, what's up, Yanga man?
What's going on, fam? I didn't see the documentary, so I'm just sitting back listening. I'm not gonna be out long. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the documentary.
Oh yeah, when you get some time, man, yeah, check it out. Check it out. Like I said, I knew after watching it, it was gonna spark this conversation. Because, like I said, it's stuff that I did not agree with in the documentary.
So what is
you know
it saying?
what I mean?
What is it saying? That the civil rights movement was funded.
Basically, in a nutshell, yeah. But it's basically saying that the civil rights movement was, if not all the way funded, and it was it had heavy influence in it. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what it's saying in a nutshell. That's basically what it's saying in a nutshell. But like I said, the way they articulated it is what me and Blackson talk about. You know what I mean? And I knew. Go ahead.
No, I could see. Yeah, that's been that's been something they've been hollering forever, and with a lot of them, because I know at that time they were working together. You had a lot of, especially black people that were flirting with socialism and communism. So you had a lot of dual partyship, this and that. So they could be talking about that. I think Rustin, one of Dr. King's partners, that he let go because it became out open. It became open that Rustin was a homosexual.
Yeah, he was flaming.
Yeah, flaming. But I think he was a part of the Communist Party. Shit. I mean, there's just, so I have to go back before I say anything else about it. I had to really go back and check out the documentary.
Yeah, no doubt. And like I said, it's interesting because the conversation that me and Blackson had, a lot of stuff that we were talking about, I was interested to see what his take was going to be after we watched it, and my assumptions were proven right, because now we're having this discussion. So, but in the event, let's go to the next one, though, Blackson. The next one was neutralize the opposition. What's your take on that one?
I mean, there's so many directions you can go. When you say neutralize, you mean kill, or you just mean?
No. Remember, they gave the quote to Lenin and Stalin saying that anybody that's opposed in the revolutionary work, it's best to use labels, like he said, like use labels like fascist, fascist and neo-Nazi and anti-Semitic, whatever's best for that particular cause. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So what's your take on that? Even though he didn't give a lot of, they ain't going a lot of detail on that particular step, but what's your take on it?
Well, I mean, Stalin and Mao used a lot of that technique. So
yeah, stop. Remember, Mao created the term landlord.
Right, the landlord. Okay, right. So when Stalin wanted to execute a person, go ahead, Yang. I know you got something to say. Shit, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, wow, I didn't know that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
About Chairman Mao, yeah.
Okay,
he coined it. Let's say that he coined it.
Right.
Go ahead, Blackson.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that, I mean, you read any of Stalin's books, that was the rhetoric used to execute people. So if you wanted to arrest somebody, send them to the gulag or whatever, yeah, those terms are used very quickly. You know what I'm saying? And even with the NKVD, those terms are used. You know what I'm saying? So that's very common to use those terms when you want to either arrest somebody, disappear them, or kill them. Shit. I mean, it's simple.
Right. Remember in the movie that he gave, the one example that he did gave was the 87-year-old man. He had his own plot of land, living in a little bitty shed, and he was basically telling like the youth around him, "Hey man, don't listen to that communist shit. Go get your own shit and make your own money." And remember, they said the communists came to his house and killed him with the cast iron frying pan and cut his tongue out.
Now, I got to ask you a question, MD.
Go ahead.
How do we know the Klan didn't do that?
We don't. That's why I said. That's why I said you can clearly see that this movie was pushing rhetoric. You can clearly see. Right. You ain't gonna get no argument from me.
No, because everything. No, and I'm not. It was well put together. I see motive and everything, but you always have other suspects. Like I said with Malcolm, Malcolm said that the Big Six was getting a goddamn paycheck for Lyndon B. Johnson. That old man getting killed, first thing I thought about was the Klan. I didn't
Right.
think.
But what they were saying prior to that, a lot of the people in the community was labeling them like Uncle Tom and stuff like that already. So maybe the Klan could use that. Hey, look, here's a victim. His folks already don't like him from a social political sense. We could this is an opportunity to swoop in and get it. You ain't gonna get no argument. Like I said, bro, this is a tinfoil hat movie. And if at any point in time, Black Son, now you know how I am about tinfoil shit. This is your opportunity to put your tinfoil hat on. This is your opportunity. I'm giving it to you because after this we close it down.
Trust me, and that's why I said I'm disappointed they didn't put Malcolm in here because he's now. I'm not gonna say Malcolm's in tinfoil hat is, but he connect a lot of dots that make a lot of sense. And again, Malcolm even offered MLK to even deny it on the microphone, and he didn't. You know what I'm saying? It's like, he said, okay, well, I'm gonna interject myself in the civil rights movie because I know, and here's me putting my 2 cents in it. Malcolm knew there was some money being made behind this shit. I'm just saying.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's bring it into practical terms then.
Okay.
Shame on you, boy. Shame on you.
I mean, wait, hold on, Yank. Hold on. I'm acting a little fool here, man. But I'm just saying.
Talk about Malcolm saw some dollars to be made. We're gonna line your ass up against the firewall.
No. Hold on, Yank. Hold on, Yank.
Okay.
Did he not count out MAK from taking money from Lyndon B. Johnson? Yes or no?
Yeah, the Big Six. I forgot. I forgot the other 5.
So I'm joking, but there was Malcolm saw some money floating around and shit, and he did say, now Yank, correct me if I'm wrong. He said he's going to interject himself in the civil rights movement after he talked about that. Did he not?
Yes or no? He talks about. I think it's a little bit before that.
No,
I think it's a little bit before that.
No.
I think he talks about, because he talks about, when you talk about the Big Six, he talks about why they threw money at it. He said the March on Washington started out as a revolutionary action. Black cats was just going to converge on Washington, D.C. And they went to King. You're going to make me look it up, man, because I don't want to just keep saying the Big Six. I wish I had a computer or something about me. I'm on my phone. Y'all know the condition.
I got the Big Six. I got them. I'm gonna let you finish them.
Okay. So going to spin my who were they real quick? MD, if you have them on standby. Yeah.
It was Philip Randolph, Whitney Young, James Farmer, MLK, John Lewis, and who else was? Damn, why they only got 5?
Well, is it the Big Six? I hope I'm saying it right. But anywho, you get the
it's right.
Roy Wilkins. Yep, right, Roy Wilkins. So you have to bear with me. So the March on Washington started out as a revolutionary action, right? Black people were going to converge on Washington, and it was going to be what it was. They were going to shut Washington down. So when this got out, the administration, I think it was Kennedy's administration at that time, because Kennedy was still living.
That's right, yeah.
Stepped to them and told them really to take control of that. And they were going back to him saying, hey, man, the people got control of this. So Kennedy said, what can we throw money at it? So they threw money at it to get control. And we know throwing money at it is something, and I didn't get to see the documentary, which sounds like it was interesting. But throwing money at it means, control the propaganda, the outreach, the shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like they do today. Black Lives Matter to me is something like throwing money at revolutionary potential. So that's what that was. They hit him with the Big Six and they threw money at it. So Malcolm was talking about interjecting himself long before that. They actually are the interjection or the distraction from real revolutionary action. So when they threw money at it and through their influence, sway, participation, and whatever in that whole revolutionary action, it became just a reformist march. And I'm not going to belittle it. It had what it had, effect, and it did what it did. But it didn't end what it started out to be.
Right, and that's another thing that they mentioned in the documentary. He mentioned the quote from Stalin when it said use the reform as an underlier for the actual communist practice. So that part, yeah, I totally get it. You know what I'm saying? You got anything else on that one, Black Swan?
No, that was it. Yeah,
Okay,
you got
all right.
anything? Okay.
So the next one was precipitate mob violence, and I think that was the meat of what they was getting into in the documentary, talking about correlating the and really, except for in the beginning, he really didn't go into that a lot either. As far as he went into a little bit of the watch riots, and he went into some more riots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then that's when he started dealing with like James Ford and other people that was in the Communist Party at that time. That was basically enticing. So, what's your thoughts on that?
So again, the Watts riots,
Now keep in mind, Black Son, remember what you said yesterday.
Yeah, what I said yesterday is that, well, okay, so damn. See, because I was trying to when I was watching that part, I was still trying to smooth out the discussion we had yesterday. And again, oh man, see that kind of threw me off, MD. So okay, so real quick, the Watts riots, again, I guess it referred to what you said earlier about, like you said, using like I guess like a police shooting, or like a racist rant or something. So I don't know. What's your take, man? Let me piggyback off you this time, bro.
I mean, again, going back to what we said yesterday. Remember, we were talking about what constitutes anarchy, right?
Again, and after seeing this again, I can't define something as anarchy when you have a functioning law enforcement. I just can't do it. I still can't do it.
Okay,
I'm still having a hard time. I'm having a hard time defining something as anarchy when you have a functioning military, when you have a functioning National Guard, when you have functioning police. When police are taking orders, it's not anarchy.
All right, so correct me if I'm wrong, Black Son.
Okay,
Did you not say yesterday that the Watts riots you would consider that anarchy?
No. Watts riots, no. I don't consider it anarchy. I consider that a riot, but not. There's a fine there's a big difference between a riot and anarchy. Anarchy means there is no function.
Or civil unrest.
Yeah, civil unrest. Yeah, I'll agree to that. Yeah, civil unrest. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So okay,
but
go
you
ahead.
Can you have a riot and have can you have a riot and have a functioning government?
Yeah, of course. Hell, the functioning government got riot control.
There you go. Right. So that's why I can't label the riot as anarchy. I can't do that. Even though people are looting, I can label it as civil unrest. I can say riot. I can say bedlam. But as far as anarchy, no. As long as I see functioning law enforcement, I can't label it. I can't do it.
I think you said something different yesterday, but I'm a.
What we were doing yesterday, we were trying to compare the Arab Spring. When we brought up the Arab Spring, there are instances in the Arab Spring that was anarchy, and there were other instances that was I don't consider anarchy. So that's why I was like, damn, I had to go back and look at that. Like you said, Egypt, they just rode, they took off their shoe and rose it. That was it. But in goddamn Tunisia and other places, yo, they were like murdering people and they were like rioting and raping women. They were just doing, they were wilding. But some places in the Arab Spring, there was no violence. But again, some places in the Arab Spring, they had functioning police where they all took off their shoe in Egypt. They had like police there and all that shit. But other places where where it spiraled so out of control, even the police, when the police start running away, yeah, it's anarchy at that point.
Okay, this is what I remember what you said, and like I said,
Okay.
if I misconstruing your words, let me know.
Okay.
I remember you saying yesterday we was talking about it in the realm of affecting other parts of the country. You
Right.
said you
Yeah.
you used the instance of the Rodney King beating,
Yeah.
as well as the Watts riots that incited other riots throughout the country.
I did. Yeah,
You
I did.
considered that anarchy. That's what you said.
I did, MD, but again, it's hard to do that. Even though it spiraled out of control, it was riots out of control. You know, like I said, from Cleveland to goddamn Atlanta, to New York, all those other places. You still have functioning police. That's the element that separates the riot from anarchy.
Okay.
Cool. So I think they were extreme. It was extreme civil unrest. It was a riot. It was bedlam. But anarchy, no. As long as you got that police element, that's the fine line that differentiates from the riots, from the civil unrest. So were they extreme cases? Yeah, they were extreme riots. People got killed and all that, but you still had functioning police.
And you basing that off of the layman's definition of anarchy, which simply means no government. That's what you base that off of.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Because I consider police to be an arm of the government.
Okay. All right. Cool. Like I said, you remember what I said. I'm looking at the literal sense of what anarchy is.
Right.
Meaning no government, and separating it from the actual action of anarchism, which is a vehicle to fight said government. So in that aspect, I look at it as two different things. That you got the actual noun, or hell, would that be a noun? Well, yeah, the actual noun of anarchy, meaning no government.
So let me.
Then you got the action of anarchism, which is the vehicle that's pushing government away. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what I'm saying, MD, there's a fine line. That fine line, when you get the cops to turn away and run away, it's now anarchy.
Okay.
That's why I had to look at the French Revolution too.
Right.
Even if okay, the French Revolution, it got to a point where the goddamn National Guard and the police turned against the government.
Yeah.
If you can accomplish that, that's anarchy. But damn. So what I'm saying, that military arm, that governmental arm, which is the goddamn police, the military, the National Guard, they are still part of the government. Even though you said, well, this part of the government, that it's almost like Voltron. You know what I'm saying? You still got the damn torso, the arms, the legs, the head, and all that.
Yeah.
When all that is dismantled, anarchy. But you can't leave any functioning part functioning. You can have riots, you can have all that, you can have bedlam, all that, but it's not anarchy until everything is dismantled. So the minute that riot happens and the police start running, now it's anarchy. But if the police stand their ground, it's just a riot.
Well, it goes back to what we was talking about yesterday too, as far as like a coup. Even if it's only a brief moment, but that moment between the dismantling of the government and the manifestation of a new government, by definition, is anarchy.
But hold on. But that police, if you don't dismantle that police, if you don't, you got to do two things.
Well, I ain't talking about violence. Like I said, I ain't talking
about violence. No,
yeah, we established that a coup don't have to have no violence in it at all. I'm just saying the space in between.
MD, There's two things you got to get. It's an either or you got to get the police to do. You want to hear the two things in order for me to consider anarchy?
Go ahead.
You either got to get them to run and retreat or goddamn jump on board with you.
Well, is not dismantling the government and establishing a new government, having the police jumping on board with you? Because either way, you're gonna have a new government.
No.
That's why I said the coup itself.
No. Let me tell you why. The minute the police jump on board with you, no, they're no longer police at that point. That's why I was trying to go back to the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre.
I agree.
The minute you have the police jump on your side and do some fuck shit, that is anarchy. If you get them to run, that's anarchy.
I see that part. I don't. What about the rest of the head? What about the rest of the arms of government? So the police. So okay, let's say I'm El Presidente. The police turn on me. I'm still the president. The law is still enacted.
You're still president, but you have nobody to enforce anything. Once they damn disable your enforcement, you kind of on your own at that point, bro.
So the cops are the end all be all is basically what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying, I'm saying they are the enforcement arm. They are what's gonna. I mean, hell, you're not gonna go to court unless some goddamn. You're gonna. It's like the police are the arm that enforces. The National Guard, the military, they enforce what the government is saying. So the government can't do shit without. They can't enforce shit without the enforcement arm. You follow?
All right, so I definitely follow what you're saying, but I don't think you understand like the brink of what. So I'm gonna give you a scenario.
Okay, let's do it.
You got law enforcement, you got National Guard, you got general military.
Yes.
Let's say I penetrate all of that. They still enforcing the laws of the government, but then I make my way, sneak through SB, whatever. I get my way into the Capitol, I assassinate the president. Is that anarchy?
No.
I agree with you. It ain't. Why? Because you still have a law that's being enforced.
Right.
Through the whoever, cops, whoever.
And just because you assassinate the president, now you got to go through whoever is next in command, and you still got to go through that law.
I agree.
Yeah. So you just
let me give you another.
That's why I said, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I will give you another scenario. Scenario. Same situation.
Okay.
You got law enforcement, National Guard, general military, whoever.
Yeah.
The people that's instilling uncivil arrest, kill all them. And then we're able to get into the Capitol that way. Is that anarchy?
That's a straight overthrow. Yeah, that's anarchy. Yeah.
Oh, so okay.
What do you mean?
So the first
hold on. You just kill all the goddamn enforcement arms.
All the police.
That's checkmate, bro. That's checkmate. Yeah, that's that. Well, I mean, that's a successful coup d'état was what you just did. You just overthrew the whole government.
So it's not an overthrow if I can bypass all that and kill the president.
Wait. Slow down. You just wait.
Slow down. That's the first situation I gave you.
No. Hold on. Slow down. You just gave no.
I seen Yang just went on mute. What? Let's ask Yang.
Oh, my bad. Did I come off mute? I didn't mean to. Say what?
You got a referee, Yang. Goddamn.
Oh shit.
So again, the first situation I gave you is me sneaking through police, cops, military, all of that, and going in and eliminating the president. You said that's not anarchy.
No.
But killing all the cops in the military, that's anarchy.
Okay, listen. Oh shit.
I think here it is. Let me say this real quick, because I think you may need to, like, I don't know if y'all speaking of the same type of definition, son. Like, I see what he said. It's like I kind of agree with MD on that one. Not kind. I totally agree with MD on that. Like, not just the police running. Hell, I remember when the police used to run out of East Lake Meadows. You know, it doesn't mean goal was accomplished. To me, anarchism or anarchy when we're talking about an act is such a microcosm that you guys are talking about like riot or whatever. It's just that it's the breakdown or the failure for that system to function. You know what I'm saying? So in a certain neighborhood, you can have anarchy if you, like you said, if you break down the institutions and the things that keep that neighborhood functioning as a system. It doesn't necessarily mean that the United States in itself is has collapsed into anarchy. And then here's where the disagreement with me and some of the anarchists come in, because I think that they don't believe in a government at all. Even after the collapse of said government, they
Right.
don't want to reestablish
That's
a
the
government
actual
or a
definition.
system. Right. So that's what it. So yeah, if you can, a coup d'etat is a replacement. You can have a coup d'etat and have no anarchy. It can be a smooth transition. It doesn't have to have, a chaos and conflict involved with it. When we say anarchy as pertain to riots and stuff, it just means that the system isn't able to function in that neighborhood. Fire can't get in there. Police can't get in there. The merchants and shit are shut down. Everything in that neighborhood is just in chaos. And that's the anarchy. The revolutionary will go in there once taking control of those institutions and running the armed wing of the government out of there. Then the revolutionary should go in and, in my opinion, here's where the anarchists and I disagree, but the revolutionary should go in there and establish a system of structure that is beneficial to the people, that one will help them get through this turbulent time of fucking war, or whatever they in that caused such an outburst, and will see to the distribution, the medicine, even the potential schooling and everything like that of the occupants of that particular territory. But yeah,
So
I'm
that
not an advocate of anarchism.
so let me ask you this, Yang. So we just said,
Mhm.
like, even when we're dealing with a coup, the space in between, even if it's only a brief space, the space in between the dismantling of the government and the manifestation of the new government, what is that?
That's a coup d'etat. Well, you talking
No,
about the
space
dismantling,
in between. Yeah,
in
the space
between.
in
Yeah,
between
if the government is shut down, if the government is not functioning, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if the government is no longer functioning within that 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, is a state of anarchism, and you would hope that you get control of that before that becomes, you know what I'm saying, that spreads out. But a good, yeah.
I
Yeah.
got you.
Anytime the government isn't, that's what I feel like. Anytime the government isn't functioning, that would be that state. Technically, it doesn't necessarily have to be the action of it. It doesn't necessarily have to be chaos outside. But I would call it a coup d'etat. I wouldn't even get that particular about it. If we can make that transition of government, you know what I'm saying, that we may have a 5 or 10 minute lapse where there's no government, where there is anarchy, where technically we're in a state of anarchy, but if we can make that smoothly, I would just call that a coup d'etat. But technically, I would think they would say that that's anarchism.
Okay, cool.
I don't. What do you guys
think? No, I agree with that. But what we were trying to see is at what point can we constitute the government not being able to function? I gave the example of sneaking past all the cops and all the military and going in and killing the president. Blackson said that's not anarchy. But if we go in and kill all the cops first and all of that, and then go to the Capitol, that's anarchy. So that's what me and him, you know what I mean? Either way,
I think y'all saying the same thing, right? Because he's talking about the actual state. Hell yeah, it'll be a state. If you go in there like guns blazing, it's gonna be a state of anarchy. Believe that shit.
But
so I get what
but
you're saying.
if I can get through, sneak past all the cops, all the military, get into the building and assassinate the president, is that anarchy? Without killing a single cop or military official.
I mean, and that's such an ugly example. Such an ugly example. Example. But and I just have to throw that out there for disclaimer. Talking about any type of threat of bodily harm to any type of
no. We're in imaginary land.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, does the government stop functioning though? That would be the question. would the
I would say no, Yanga. I would say no.
right, see, so yeah, then I wouldn't say that was anarchism. Like if that one person was unable to perform their function, if for whatever reason they were not able to perform their function, be it the president, anything, if they have contingencies for that, so that the government doesn't fall into anarchism. You got a vice
Yeah, they do.
president, you got
They
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
I
So
mean,
there's
you can
contingencies to
use
keep it
JFK
from,
for that.
huh?
That would be a great example, JFK.
Yeah, JFK
Yeah,
is good.
exactly. Then we got, so they gave us President Johnson.
Right.
So yeah, they always have something. That's the whole goal, I believe, is for them not to fall into anarchism.
Okay, I can see. You got that one, Black Son. Let's move on to the next. You want to add anything else?
Well, thank you, Yanga, man. You gave me a point against because we done went from goddamn the Black Panthers raiding the goddamn California House to the Arab Spring to the goddamn Tulsa, Oklahoma riots, man. Me and MD went all over the world trying to define this goddamn anarchy, man. And yeah, we okay. But now, Yanga, I got to address you. You said you disagree with me if we kill all the military arm. You saying there won't be a panic and there will be no anarchy. I don't care how functioning the government, if they don't have no enforcement arm, it's going to be anarchy. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
What?
It depends what you mean. Like,
if
you
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, what were you saying? Explain to me.
What I'm saying is that if you make it known and you eliminate all the police, all the goddamn military, all the National Guard, it's automatically going to be anarchy because the government has no enforcing arm. There's going to be panic.
So anarchy in the sense of chaos and people running amok and stuff.
Yes, because the government has no way of enforcing peace and enforcing order. They have no way of doing that.
I think mainly in our communities. I think mainly, and I don't see that because America is not just a machine that has that functions tangibly. It's a ideology and philosophy. You have, written within their paperwork is, the Constitution is the right to bear arms, militias, civilian militias, and then the way that it's structured, I think that it would just be like,
But listen to the wording: functioning government. Now we might be able to establish peace amongst our. Go ahead.
Think about that. Like,
okay,
even if you take it would just break. States would break. It'd be like before the United States. Shit, states would break off. I think America is set up in such a way that's why I say I don't understand anarchism. And then I'm not one here you'd have to get an anarchist up here to do it any type of real justice. You know what I'm saying? But I don't see. I think we would, when you say anarchism, like chaos and like you said, riot, the difference between a riot and an uprising or that type of thing. But as a whole, as a system, as the whole government collapsing and anarchism being the rule of the day, I don't know. An anarchist would have to explain to me how that would work, how they see that.
Got you.
I think America as a system is too well regulated.
Okay.
All right. I'm saying for anarchism anyway.
So basically what Yang is saying is that well-regulated militia will kick in.
Yeah.
Freedom,
so-called freedom-loving people who have been used to the freedoms that America has given them, they will kick in like, oh, we got them gun clubs and militias and 3%ers and shit. These motherfuckers in the mountains, shit.
But the militia,
I don't see.
But okay, well, let me ask you and MD this: the militias, just like the original 13 original colonies, will be self-governing. So when you say government, I think this is just my take. I think we'll be broken off into enclaves and different factions. I don't think there will be one governing body.
It It may not in the beginning. I don't know. We sound like a post-apocalyptic movie. There's been, there's been movies that made behind that type stuff. It may not, but I know that would be the way that everything is interrelated and politics and stuff is. Yeah, that would be a very big, it would have to be a major, major, major catastrophe, I think, for us to dissolve into that type of state. I think it had to be a major catastrophe for us to dissolve in that type of state.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? And not just a physical one, but an ideological one. It's hard to stand. America is a ideology and a philosophy. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to stamp. It would be hard to stamp that. You know how many generations you would have to fight to stamp that out of the existing people, not to want to come back and form what they recognize as the United States of America.
But I got something for that, Younger.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what?
Don't do it, Black son.
Ruled.
How the fuck you gonna overrule the Constitution?
Defense, keep the defendant silent.
I didn't catch all of it.
Oh, you didn't catch it?
What?
Ruled.
How the fuck you gonna overrule the Constitution?
Defense, keep the defendant silent.
That's your part.
Yeah, that's. I'm trolling you, man. I'm trolling you.
Right. Right.
I'm trolling you.
So,
yeah, that's a troll. That's how
I got you. I'm sitting there. I'm listening to you. I'm sitting there looking for medication, man.
Okay.
Shit, I got you.
Well, when me and you, Black son, you got to get hot.
Yeah, man. I'm back on it, man. Y'all done made me listening to y'all done made me aches and pains come back.
That's the oxycodone. Oxycodone.
I'm on this
so let's move
right
on to
now.
the last one.
Okay.
We'll move on to the last one. Last one was create semblance of revolution. What you get out of that? Create semblance of revolution.
Ooh. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. That is a tough one because, man, and me and Yanga, we used to always joke about this, and actually Trump does it, and Obama does it. Obama is yes we can, and Trump is make America great again. You create something that cannot be achieved. Shout out to Lex Vortex, man. Lex, man, if you're listening, man, you're invited on the arena anytime. But yeah, create something. So am I? If y'all not understand what I'm saying, let me know, man. I'm about to go.
Right. Semblance and creation, they synonymous. So yeah, you're right.
Okay, so create something.
You're creating a semblance, or you're creating a outward look,
right?
At what would deem to be revolution from a collective thought,
right?
So you're right.
Yeah, so when Obama say yes we can, in your mind you'd be like, damn, can we have free Cadillacs? Yes we can. Can we have free healthcare? Yes we can. All he's saying is yes we can, and in your mind you're picturing, or just like when Trump say make America great again. Man, we're gonna put black people back in slavery. Make America great again. But to the black person, oh man, we're gonna have them factories in Detroit again. Make America great again. You know what I'm saying? So it's
hey, that's a hell of a point you just made, Black son. Yeah. That's a hell of a point.
Right.
Like I totally agree. You know what I mean? The semblance of revolution from an ideal of a collective thought.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard. Like when we talk about semblance, like it ain't something that you individually are trying to articulate or trying to manifest in your own individual space.
You allow others to fill in the blanks. You follow me, MD?
MD different. Yeah. You may deem is most effective in whatever situation. I totally agree. The Make America Great Again, a great example.
Right. That's why I can never shout out to E, agree to anybody saying that Trump was involved in J6. No. Now, a person can argue and say that he left it to where people can fill in the dots. You can make that argument. but I'm never gonna say no. I can't. I can't do it. I know E gonna have something to say about that when he hears that. If he's still in the chat.
Yeah, E man. Yeah, I'm disappointed in you. E. You supposed to have been up
I'm,
here, man.
I'm just pointing at E, man. God damn.
Yeah, you supposed to have been up here.
But Yanga held it down. But man, E man, goddamn, come on, E man, this is right. This show, goddamn, man, I think gonna be here in the chat talking about I got the red hat. But yeah, like I said, when Trump say make America great again, he's leaving you, giving you the power to fill in the dots. So we can all fill in the dots, and we might fill in different dots. When Obama say, yes, we can, he's leaving you to fill in the dots. So yeah, those are just examples that I know of right offhand that I could boom right offhand. What about you, MD?
Well, like I said, I 100% agree with everything you said. But when we look at it from this aspect in regards to the movie, a semblance of revolution. So we're talking about some type of idealistic view from a collective standpoint on what that revolution is and what entails that revolution. You know what I'm saying? That's where my individualism come in. Hey, give me 1 second.
Okay, no problem. I think we saying the same thing, man. Yangi, he taking his medicine. Hold on.
I'm here. I'm just laid back listening. I'm listening.
What's your take?
To me, you're talking about something like I said, Black Lives Matter, a semblance of revolution. You give people, create a revolution, don't create the revolution, create the group and feed it, give it to the people and make that group look like they're addressing all the shit, make them look like they're taking revolutionary means, pumping the black fist, Black Lives Matter, paint the black street, just concrete, give them a street, paint it, you co-opt the movement, you take the real anger of the people, the righteous indignation of the people, and you give them an outlet. You tell them, hey, okay, yeah, we're gonna march, and then you create the march route, the parade route. You begin to give them the institutions or the instruments to express their disgruntlement, to express their anger and shit at the system. That's what the semblance of a revolution is. And then when they went out to these marches and marched this parade route that you're giving them 2 or 3 times, and they've yelled to the top of their voice and their arms are heavy from weighing the picket signs, they go home and go to sleep. They've been able to exhaust their anger to a certain degree, never truly leaving satisfied. Yeah, that's the semblance of a revolution.
Hey,
give them something to bite into that really isn't fulfilling. But it's something to bite on. It's like it's the difference between a snack and a meal. You dig?
Hey, what you think about the MD? Hey, I thought that was on point.
I just got back. Yeah, I totally agree with what Yanga said. That was another great example with BLM. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued to ask you, Yanga, what's the difference between that and the original Black Power movement of the 60s and 70s?
I think that the Black Power movement of the 60s and 70s, their real intention was to empower the people, to put the power in the hands of the people. The BLM was a co-op when it never really addressed things. It gave the people an outlet. Like, the real potential for revolution was there. We were being murdered. It's being caught on camera. They're being caught with their hands in the cookie jar as far as discrimination towards black people. You have all this anger, but since you don't have self-determinist revolutionary movements out there to take this anger, like I said, this righteous indignation and the instruments and tools to put it in that would be beneficial to us as a people, the government they big sixed us. They funded it. And they just, like I said, gave us parade routes and let us march here and let us shout this and shout that until we was exhausted, kept all of that bullshit in our mind, and we forgot the real objective. Defund the police. Sounds good. What the fuck's it mean and whatever happened from it? They understood that they were dealing with a people that have been so traumatized. We deal from a particular type of amnesia. They kill us so much that we forget that you just killed a slash. I mean, it becomes normal. So we have the new slogans. It's no longer Black Power, it's defund the police or Black Lives Matter. But what does any of that mean? And what fruition has any of that manifested? That's the difference. The Panthers or the 60 movements, those groups in the movements had real self-determinist movement. This was before the government conceded that aspect of the revolution and gave us food stamps, gave us, began to test us specifically as Black people for things that affected us specifically. So that was the difference. We were empowering ourselves. And so to make sure that that never happens again, when we get on the brink of that, they be like, shit, we got enough money to throw a program at this shit. We'll take all that anger, get them some T-shirts, start the organization, let them, do whatever they do until that anger dies down, subside.
Wow. Damn, that's a good strategy. Damn. Shit. You just broke the whole damn strategy down. Yeah, good goddamn.
In the eyes of a person. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now we can.
Okay, all right. So in the eyes of a person that just looked at this film, right? And my goal is to try to connect dots and taking in consideration what you just said. What about the person that says, okay, that's cool. We're talking about a government-funded program that gave the semblance of revolution in regards to that particular group or affirmation, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the Black Power movement, say, okay, cool. We can look at also a communist-funded institution which gave the semblance of revolution through the Black Power movement, SNCC, and a lot of different organizations. What would you say to that?
I think I would say two things. Like you said, first, as a disclaimer, I didn't get a chance to see the documentary. But I would say first, that's something that would have to be proven. And then secondly, what are the aims and intentions? We're looking at, like I said, back then, when you look at those Black Power movements, they were about Black self-determination. You understand? They were about Black sufficiency, and so they were going against a government that was against Black people. So if they were taking funding from the communists at that time, apparently at that time they shared some specific goals. They were looking at the Communist Party influence in Cuba, which are brown people. They were looking at the Communist Party influence at time in Vietnam, which are a minority people. So they were saying, hey, these people, China. So they was like, hey, these people, because at one point in time they was like, you don't stand a snowball's chance in hell, a Chinaman's chance in hell. China wasn't respected as much as it is today. So you have us who was getting no respect. I'm always want us to remember at what period of time we're talking about. This is pre-food stamp. This is pre-civil rights. This is pre-Rosa Parks. This is when you just nigga isn't even a word to say that you are absolute nothing. You understand? As a collective. So yeah, if they were taking money from the Communist Party to advance a self-determinist goal that they shared in common with these people who were people-oriented, because they were all about an end to capitalism, an end to the bureaucracy, an end to the bullshit bourgeoisie, the exploiters of the proletarian, the exploiters of the workers, and those beneath the workers, which you Negroes are. Then yeah, I would say at that particular time, looking at that time without the options, hell yeah. Because we have a common enemy. Capitalism at that time and still today, but specifically at that time, was the enemy of Black people. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so if the communists did fund them, did have some funding in there for them, yeah. I don't know no pro. So that's why America had to do what they did and come up, like you said, with the civil rights movement. And to fund their own version to give a semblance of revolution through the reformist movement called the civil rights movement. They had to fund that to counter that. Because like I said, they're looking at Cuba, they're looking at China, they're looking at Vietnam. Communism was kicking ass over the world. It was freeing the people.
All right, so this where we had an impasse then, gang. I implore you to go back and look at the our show we did with the audio book, Color Commentary and Common Sense. Now, we know that there were aspects of communism within the Black Power movement. According to the book by Manning Johnson, Color Communism and Common Sense, there was also an aspect of communism within that integrationist movement in the NAACP. He
Absolutely.
went through it point for point. So are we dealing
Mm-hmm.
with a double agent?
Yep.
Black son. Put where your tip for head at?
No, it's a double agent. You got to remember. You got to remember whose communism enemy is. Its job, yes, is gonna if it can fund a civil war, if it can fund that type of controversy, it's gonna do all that. After all, make no mistake, I don't think the communists just was in love with the Negro. The Negro to the white communists is like the Negro to any European, an instrument to be used to any liberal European, an instrument to be used at their leisure to further their gain and advancement.
I see what
So
you're
hell
saying.
yeah, I believe he could be in funding both.
Okay, yeah, because if we talking about ideology, the NAACP and the integrationist movement was diametrically opposed to the Black Power movement.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we got a source that's saying that the integrationist movement was funded by the communists. Then we got another source saying that the Black Power struggle was funded by the communists.
Right.
So what's the
but who is the communist enemy? I think we're taking away. I think what we're trying to do is like we're making those two, their ideology, the focus, but the focus should be the ideology of communism, the enemy of communism. And so when you look at the enemy of communism, and particularly that time, the main proponent of the enemy of communism, the United States or the America, then you have to look at those ideologies merely as weapons, not as them sincerely endorsing, oh, we're for the people here and this is not this and that. No, because communism, Marx is against the lumping. Huey Newton, Franz Fanon, and all of these people are champions of the lumping. They're not pro-black. They didn't give a fuck about it. If you ask me, the communists didn't give a fuck, like they showed in Cuba when they wouldn't give Cuba the missile. Like they showed in China. That's why you have a Maoist understanding of socialism, because racism inevitably raises its ugly head amongst white people. I think the ideology of the Black Power movement and that of the integrationist movement was really of no primary concern to the Communist Party. They recognize these two people have different ideologies and we can use him to be antagonists in our enemy's yard, our enemy's house.
So cannon fodder is basically what.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Basically,
I'm glad I heard it from you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm definitely glad I heard it from you, and I totally agree.
Yeah, I don't think they were sincere about either or. I don't think they were sincere about our integrating into this country, and I don't think they were sincere about our self-determination. I believe their overall goal was an attack on their enemy, which was the imperialist United States. They did the same thing. Yeah, they did the same thing in Afghanistan. Same thing in Afghanistan. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They funded the Afghanistan to fight America when America was in there, and when the communists went in that thing, America did the same thing. So I think they fought a proxy war, whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah. Like we
on that aspect, we definitely on the same tune. We definitely on the same tune with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's you gonna say, Blackson?
No. I was agreeing with Yang on the proxy war thing. Yeah, that's the new. Yeah. I'm definitely in agreement with that.
All right, cool. So yeah, man, that was the movie. That was all the point. Anything else you got out of it, or something that you saw you want to pinpoint?
Like I said, I wish they would have added the Malcolm X element to it, and I think it would have painted a bigger picture. And I think it would actually, it wouldn't have hurt. I don't think it would have hurt, but I see what they were trying to go for. But again, when and I guess I have to consider when this thing was made too. But like I said, they knew who Malcolm X was too. You know what I'm saying? So again,
Obama tore this country down. Obama tore this country down. No one stood up to him. Nobody.
The hell have I entered into? A little soundbite y'all got. What I don't know.
My bad. I was queuing up. Queuing up the trailer for the next movie next week. My bad.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So yeah, that was Anarchy USA. Like I said, very controversial. I knew it was gonna be controversial. I knew that.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see that, like, this particular movie, even though me and Blackson hold certain capitalist views, we could still see the play within the movie. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely a play there to promote this anti-communist perspective, and a lot of stuff was either omitted or just flat out left out in ignorance because of it, and that's the part I don't like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I said, the one that
just to try to push the anti-communism.
Yeah, that's why I said when they showed the check saying it came from the Communist Party to MLK, I was like, wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, I was following it until that point. When that point came up, I'm like, okay, and then that got me thinking about Malcolm and all. I'm saying, oh man, they could have did better. They could have did way better. At least, like I said, even if it's just a connect the dot tinfoil hat, they still could have did better. You could even do better, even if you spewing off goddamn tinfoil hat conspiracy. You could still do better. So yeah,
no doubt. Either way, like I said, interesting take, interesting movie, no doubt. But for next week, the Arena Cinema, let's go and preview that, and
all right, for sure.
We'll get your thought. I'm damn, Yanga dropped off. I wanted to get his thoughts on this one, but in any event, yeah, this is gonna be the next movie the Arena Cinema present.
Obama tore this country down. No one stood up to him. Nobody. Because he was black. You need to wake up.
My parents didn't teach me that I was a victim.
They can turn back voting rights. Didn't nobody donate to us the right to vote?
You was your house nigga. I didn't call you a nigga.
Oh, okay. That's a big difference.
You're Uncle Tom.
And Uncle Tom is somebody who has sold out by embracing the white man.
Uncle Tom,
Bedwench,
bootlicker,
black white supremacist,
chucking and jiving,
house Negro,
coon,
Uncle Tom,
coon.
I have a coon award over there. Coon of the Year award. Most black people don't believe that other blacks can be independent, free thinkers.
I believe the legacy and the ancestry of Black Americans is being insulted every single day. I will not pretend to be a victim in this country. I know that makes many people on the left uncomfortable.
Racist,
racial, racist, racism.
1,000 cuts of racism.
The liberal will try to control a black person through the concept of racism because they know that we are very proud, emotional people.
I never felt that because I was black or I was poor or a woman that I couldn't do something.
I grew up being told of my disadvantages, that this country is unfair to black people.
The ideology is implanted into you subconsciously to believe these things.
It's like a cancerous plague in the mind of Black Americans.
We're brainwashed to think, is it because I'm black? America's not ours, or we got shipped here. No. Our blood is on this soil. We own this too.
There should be a pride that we have in the fact that this country was built by many great black men and women.
We trying to say that this country does not specialize in racism and bigotry.
So long as black people continue to have their psyche filled by that nonsense, we won't have an awakening.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, that was good.
Next movie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Actually, you know what? That's going to be the controversy. I think you have to be on a certain level. The one you just played, Anarchy in the UK. You know what? Damn. I don't think it's going to be as, like I said, with me, you, Yanga, it would be some controversy, even somebody like Lex. But I think the other one, the Uncle Tom one, will be more controversial because it's on a level where people will understand it more because that's used more loosely as opposed to being called a commie or a red Negro and all that stuff. You're talking about when you talk about communism, a lot of for the most part, people just ignore it. You know what I'm saying? But when you talk about Al-Qatanism, now you're going into the meat and potatoes of black people's emotions, if that makes any sense. Which the red comic thing should too.
It makes a lot of sense. Make a lot of sense. So we now we actually with this next movie, we're going into the aspect of what they were saying in Anarchy USA, dealing with neutralizing the opposition. That's what we're getting into. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Actually, yeah, that's a good. No, that's actually right on time. So I got to ask you. That begs the question: do you got more movies to follow that template? Because now you're following the template of.
No, it just organically happened. I didn't know.
Oh,
I ain't got
wow.
no.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I wasn't thinking about that when I came up with this stuff.
Oh, so it's kind of like a moment. It's kind of like when E jumped on and said, "Oh, in Alabama, they were damn conservative judges," and we kind of showed them that two of those judges were appointed by Trump and they were against the whole bullshit.
Right.
Or that was organic too, right?
Yeah, it was organic. It was organic.
Oh, okay.
As far as I know, I didn't pull up that article. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I pulled up all this shit on goddamn Ukraine. He brought that to our attention. I knew nothing about it.
He did. Yeah, I didn't know what the hell was going on. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't either. Shout out to E, but I didn't know what the hell was going on. But I said, okay, I'm going to roll with it. And when he was trying to, I said, oh shit, he's trying to paint a narrative. Oh, us evil goddamn conservatives and all. I said, okay, I see where he's going. But again, E, if you listening, the rhinos are against Trump. Trump just had a speech today, man. I was in and out with the speech, man. I wish like I said, I resubscribed to RSBN. And Trump, man, most of the speech, he talked about how the rhinos, man, are stabbing him in the back. I said, oh, shit, okay. But
right.
Somehow that goes over E's head, man. He wants to lump all the goddamn, the MAGAs and the damn rhinos and he wants to lump them all in. He said, fuck it. They all got to goddamn go. But, hey, those two judges, again, I'm going to say.
Okay. Yeah, that's me. No, that's me. My bad. Like I said, man, everybody jumping on stuff all at once. So, yeah, you absolutely right, man. Like, that's why individualism is so important.
Yeah.
Because you can't, through an individual's ideology, you can't lump people in like that, bro. No, but because we got this low level group think, subconsciously, like we just do it automatically like robots. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, now even with this particular film, again, we had the whole discussion about conservatism. It's certain aspects of being a conservative I don't rock with. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you rock with them.
No. I mean, I thought I explained that 100 times, man. Like the whole. Yeah. I mean, I don't mess with, like, let me just say this. I mean, just give you one example. I don't mess with gay people. I don't care what gay people do. They pay their taxes. They're entitled to the same rights that you, me, and everybody else have, man. Like, what the hell? What's the problem? If they want to get married, let them get married. It's not affecting us. Like, what the fuck?
Right. But some people. But again, that goes back to the collective ideology, though. Like I give you a perfect example when it comes to how we look at family structure and how we acclimate family structure as one of the reasons for the collective detriment, right?
Right.
Me personally, I don't go by that. I think you born with certain disparities or certain obstacles in your life, whether it be single parenthood, whether that be any other thing in the spectrum of structures, right?
Right.
I don't let any of that dictate the charitable works or the empathy in which I look at my own life. You know what I'm saying? Now, some people will equate that to bootstrapperism. I don't. It's simply saying you as an individual are born with certain inalienable rights.
Well,
That
again,
go ahead.
MD, again, and I'm going to reiterate this again and again. I understand the negative connotation with bootstrapperism, but I equate it with get a job. I don't see nothing wrong with it.
That's too simplified though, Black Son. That's what I'm saying.
But it is
Saying
simple
it not in the eyes of where the negative connotation comes from. That's too simple.
Again, but is get a job? But is get a job a negative connotation?
But listen to what I'm saying though, Black Son. The people that'll say that will be talking to somebody that already got a job. You don't see the stupidity. That's what I'm saying. So you can't equate. Okay, get a job. No, it's not about getting a job. It's about collectively looking at an aspect of a particular group on how other people look at that collective aspect of that particular group. It ain't got nothing to do with you even having a job or not. You know what I'm saying?
No, I see what you're saying, and you know what? Yeah. I agree with what you're saying. The whole you're basically talking about the whole negative connotation, the origins of where it comes from, and I'm not disagreeing with that. However, when people say that, it's like, damn. Oh man, well, you know what? I guess what I'm saying is like, what I'm saying, MD, is that what am I trying to say? I don't know. I guess I'm trying to, like the word nigga. I'm trying to, I guess, make it a term of endearment. I guess I don't know. Shit.
I got you, man. Like I said, that's the reason I don't rock with that particular term.
No, I got you. I don't rock with it. I mean, well, damn.
Because it's
like I ain't never told nobody to go get a job, but that's, I mean, well, I have, but I don't know.
I got you.
You know, yeah, you know, right. I can't get around it. You're right, bro. I'm gonna just say you're right. I got
you. Like I said, that's why I don't even look at it like that, because it's not about the job at the end of the day. It's about you're using a just like nigga. You're using a projection of me. You're projecting a certain image of me based on a collective ideological thought.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
So like I'm like, no, like not nigga. It's just been so ingrained in all of us that it's become the norm. Bootstrapperism, on the other hand, it still has that negative connotation, even to the black person, because of the projection of some type of perspective on all black folk.
I got
and
you.
It's bullshit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when we talking about this particular film, Uncle Tom, we talking about a promotion of a certain ideology. In my opinion, and like I said, I've already seen it. I don't think Black Son has seen it yet.
Oh no, I haven't seen it, man. That's gonna be a first for me.
Right. We're talking about a promotion of black individual thought.
Right.
So I did my goal wasn't to try to equate or try to correlate this movie with the movie we just saw. That wasn't my goal at all.
No, it just happened to fall in place. No, I get it.
It just happened to fall in place in the realm of neutralizing the opposition based on a low level collective ideology. That's it. So in turn, the correlation is individualism to conservatism. That's why I was going back to like the it's certain aspects of conservatism I don't rock with because of the cultural aesthetic of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people would equate conservatism to simply free enterprise. Now that part, if you want to call me a conservative when it comes to that, cool. I ain't got no problem. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But a lot of the things that people take conservatism to when it comes to black people is that moral aspect. Hell, and keeping it real, and we say it all the time. The black society is probably the most, in that aspect, probably one of the most conservative people in the country. In that aspect,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
So it's gonna be another eyebrow raiser in terms of seeing what the conversation is gonna be after the movie. So it's gonna be fun.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be fun. Man, I'm disappointed in you, bro.
Yeah,
I'm
disappointed
disappointed in you, bro. Like you. Yeah. I don't know what you got going. I don't know if you ducking and dodging the latest Chicago shootout, but in any event, your ass need to be in the building next week. You know what I'm saying? You definitely need to be in the building next week. Because I came up with this one specifically for you. Hell, as a matter of fact, you need to be hosting next week.
Right, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Because your ass need to be in the building. I need you front and center for this one. But in any event, it's all good, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad we could do it. But yeah, that's all I got, man. That's all I got.
Great documentary, man. Great discussion, man. Shout out to you. Shout out to Yanga, man. Man, goddamn, don't miss the next one, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Yeah, man. Shout out to the whole Rena family, man. I loved it, bro. It was, yeah, like I said, I'd never seen this one either. I hadn't seen this one. So this was a treat. Yeah, it was a treat. It was a treat. Even though there was some there could have been rooms for improvement, but again, I get it. But like I said, they didn't take in consideration a person. Like I said, you can't do American history without Malcolm. You can't do it.
Yeah, especially not in this aspect. Because like I said, if you would have put Malcolm in here, you actually could have used Malcolm for your argument. You know
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
So yeah, that was kind of weird.
Yeah, that was weird as hell.
Yeah, that was definitely weird. And it caused a further discussion about black nationalism in the sense of, was black nationalism a counter of the communist insertion in the black movement? That's a good argument. That's a great argument, actually. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely. That's why. A key element out of this, man. Like Malcolm, man, they could, man. Shit. Okay. Yeah, they fucked up.
Yeah. See, you can't put the same on the Manning Johnson book, because I think the Manning Johnson book, that book was made in '58. So
no, exactly. No. I pretty much can tell time frames between. Like I said, you're right, because that was an older book. No, I'm not going to hold them to the same standard. But this right here, no, they knew about Malcolm in this damn documentary.
Yeah.
Nah, bro, they.
I think this documentary was made, I want to say in '67. I think it was made the year before MLK died. I think, from the research I was doing when I was looking at it or whatnot.
Okay.
But yeah. Even then, like I don't know how you get around not putting Malcolm X in here. Like that was weird to me. I know why he did it. Like I said, he did it because the goal was anti-communism. That was the goal of the movie. But even if that's your goal, with Malcolm, that's a source that you could use to promote your goal. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, that's weird. Hey, you ain't gonna get no argument from me. That was weird. You know what I'm saying? But in any event, that's cool. That's cool. But yeah, I'm glad that Younger came through, man. It felt like old arena, man. Like
it did. Shout out, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Look, man. Yanga is going through pain, and the medics in it. He still showed up, man. Come on, man. Come on now, God damn, And you knew we were doing this damn documentary. God damn. But you get a pass it, but next week, no, I mean,
ain't no passes next week. No way in hell. You don't you don't get no pass next week.
No passes at all. No.
But you need to go and make reservations now. Cause this right up your alley. This definitely right up your alley. You know what I'm saying? Uncle Tom, let hell, Larry Elder should be enough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Larry Elder should be enough. Hell, they got Jesse Lee Peterson in the damn movie. Like, need I say more?
Yeah.
Candace Owens.
Yep.
Hey, man. Hey, man. The backlash on this shit, hey, you need to be here. That's all I'm saying. You need to be here, buddy. Yes, I ain't going to take no 4 ounce on that one.
Neither am
Like I said, matter of fact, you need to be here before we go live. You need to be in the stream because you're gonna take lead.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna say, "Hey, look, Arena presents these niggas, MD20 and Blackson on here streaming the movie called Uncle Tom, and they got Larry Elder in it, Candace Owens. These niggas is crazy." That's what I'm gonna need you for.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, they got Kanye too in there, don't they?
Yeah, Kanye in the movie.
Yep, Kanye's in it too. Yep.
Yeah. These niggas done went crazy. The Arena Cinema presents Uncle Tom.
Yes, sir.
That's what I need you here for.
I can't wait. Oh man, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Well, no doubt. Hey, but man, that's all I got for tonight, man. It's gonna be 12, so.
Yeah, it's 12 o'clock. Hey, y'all, be up tomorrow, 11:30, fuck it, 11:30 a.m. Me and Nature Mom, we gonna chop it up. Yeah.
And to see, I've been saying I want to do this. But I'm conflicted about it because I think, honestly, like with this Milton Friedman series, I think it's gonna go over a lot of y'all Negroes' heads. So I'm conflicted if I want to do it or not. I'm still thinking about it. I may end up doing that sometime tomorrow. That'll be my 3rd time saying it, but it is what it is. Like I said, I said I was going to do the Up From Slavery audiobook. I don't even know if I want to do that because, like I said, I think that'll go over a lot of y'all Negroes' head. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe if I'm I got some free space, some free time during Nature Mom's show, I have a clear view of what I'm gonna do. So just be on the lookout for that. If I don't do it, I don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to GTO, man. She got some upcoming things.
Oh yeah, man.
Supposed to be coming up too. So we'll see how that goes.
Some shit went down today, and she's gonna fill us in. That's all I can say because it's some. I got a call today, and it's a sector I ain't even known about, and then GTO filled me in on. There's a whole nother sector.
So yeah, man.
She gonna break it down though. That's all I'm gonna say. She gonna break it down.
Yeah. I know me and Blackson. We try to keep it as intellectual as we can from a political perspective. But now I fully embrace the nigga shit.
Today was it up.
Yeah.
Today was the camel that broke the camel's back.
I fully embrace the nigga shit.
All right, I'm gonna just say it. The person that phoned me was MD, and both me and GTO was shocked. Man, we were like, "God damn!"
I was fully enamored with the T. That's all. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't even that type of nigga. But today, I was like, man, I couldn't keep up. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't keep up. So fuck it. If GTO want to come and break it down, hey, if y'all into that type of stuff, we'll have a little bit. Hell, it is the Arena Uncensored after all. So if that's what you're into, so be it. You know what I'm saying? But hell, it is what it is.
Well, again, we got the call from you, MD. So yeah, we got. I
was trying to find out what was going on. I'm like, oh, I ain't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't keep up with that shit.
And what was the first thing I said? Call GTO. I said, call GTO.
Shit. You know what I'm saying?
Because I did. Man. Bro, it be the blind leading the blind. No, call GTO, bro. I don't.
So yeah, man. If you want to keep abreast with all the nigga shit, you know what I'm saying? GTO gonna present that show as well.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, man. A lot of stuff coming through. Like I said, hit the like button on your way out. Make sure you subscribe to Arena Uncensored. Follow us on all the platforms. You know what I'm saying? YouTube, Facebook. Well, I don't know about Facebook no more. But and you know, Rumble, definitely Rumble.
Yeah, Facebook.
Shit, right? Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at the MD20. You can follow the Arena at the Arena ATL. And yeah, man, that's all I got, man. Great show,
Great show, brother.
All right, man. With that being said, man, I guess we're gonna say peace, y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow morning in Nature Mall.
All right, peace, y'all.